Mr. President,
Yes.
if there are any lobbyists present, would you please identify yourself?
Well, let's, yeah, no, I haven't gotten to that. Let's go through
Are we taking roll call?
the first order called to, so I'm calling this meeting to order at 6:37. Yes, Alfredo, and I believe I sent you the Word documents.
I
Hopefully,
have it. Thank you, sir. That
You're
was
very
right
welcome.
on cue. Thank you very much.
Thank
Double
you, sir.
thumbs up for that one. That was a great move. Appreciate it. I do.
So
Yeah, everybody gets thumbs up today.
if you could take roll call, that would be great.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Ralph Croy,
Here.
Jason Lester,
Here.
Raheem Kazi,
Here.
Karen Waters,
Here,
Brian Allen,
Here.
Alvin Waters,
Here.
Nathan Lee.
I'm here.
All right. Graham Zach,
Here.
Robert Moore,
I'm here.
Oscar Jimenez.
Present.
All right. Give me just a quick second. And Alfredo Castillo, I am here. I think that's all of us, right? Am I missing anyone?
So just to
Wade?
note, Sid Gold is not present,
Sid Gold is not right. He's missing in action.
nor is Thomas Hartfeld. Okay. I don't see them on the list.
Sydney and Thomas out.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, sir. All right, roll call to order. Okay, so let's do the next thing is Pledge of Allegiance. And Mirka, welcome. Mirka Martinez from John Lee's office. Welcome, great to have you. I'm gonna let you, if you don't mind, lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance.
Righty.
Okay, so let's do this.
All right, so let me adjust my camera. Are we rising or you guys are okay? I'm rising.
Okay.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge
pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to
to
the
the
flag
flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you.
So
Okay,
Sydney Gold has joined us.
joined us,
Yes, 6:40.
it's Mr. Gold. Okay, let's see, is he, again, let me just make sure participants, there isn't a board member there. I don't see any. Okay. All right. Thank you. So the next item, thank you, Karen. So we'll now go to item B. So are any participants in this meeting considered lobbyists? If so, please identify yourself. I don't see any hands raised. Okay. So with that, then let's move on to item C. I did see Gibson, Mr. Niambura, welcome. Thank you for joining us. So this is your time to give us an update.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Happy State of the Union today. Hope you guys are not multitasking while doing neighborhood council business while the president is speaking. Again, my name is Gibson Yimbura. I am your neighborhood empowerment advocate. I just wanted to touch base with everybody in regards to, as you know, in-person meeting will begin March 1. And I am working with all my boards to make sure that we are able to move in that direction, make sure all neighborhood councils have the capacity to meet in person. We want to make sure that it's not an issue. We were working with the Department on Disability for making sure that each meeting location was ADA accessible. So that's one of the things that I've been working on. And I just want to make sure that everybody's ready and excited to be meeting in person. Hopefully folks are excited. As you know, we've been working on establishing the hybrid model in accordance for AB 2449. This is where the board will take action to incorporate sort of the use of Zoom in the physical meeting. So you still have to be in person. The board has to have quorum in person, and then any additional sort of settings if you want to add on to Zoom during that meeting. So that's what we also recommending boards take action. So I do know one of my neighborhood councils, United Neighborhood Congress, took action, and they are going to be buying a piece of it. They're going to be buying equipment that will help them incorporate a virtual element of it. They want to have folks to be able to participate a little bit through Zoom. This is through public comment in regards to that. There is no option for folks to opt out of doing that. So just want to make sure that that's clear. One of the big things that also we are doing, it's election outreach season. We are, just want to let everybody know the bus bench program for the bus bench program is available for neighborhood councils that do want to be able to have a bus shelter with the ads for the NC. And if anybody wants, it's follow up the step by step. It's something that we've provided on the monthly profile this week. So if you want to make a bus bench ad request to the city of Los Angeles for coordinated street furniture system program that we work with city departments and neighborhood councils for public service announcements or through bus benches, it's available. Also, the department is in the process of in neighborhood councils of getting banners that will be placed all over the city of Los Angeles. We are just trying to increase awareness and engagement throughout the neighborhood council system. One thing, just want to let you know, this is in one of our neighborhood councils recommended that we purchase radio ad space, and the department did that. We bought 10 air ad space on KPCC. They aired on Tuesday, January. They started Tuesday, January 3rd. They'll be ending on January. They ended on Wednesday, January 11th. So it's something that we've been consistently trying to do. And if there's any additional recommendations on doing that, we are also in the process of offering 2 workshops that will help our neighborhood councils walk through the process of starting in-person meetings. The 2 meetings will be February 23rd and February 25th. This is just the in-person and transition guidance rule session. So the 2 sessions that we're offering, so neighborhood councils have an ability to know how the in-person meetings will be looking like. Hope I'm not talking too fast, because I definitely wanted to share a lot of information tonight. As you know, the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners will be having a new Board of Commissioner. So Josh Nadell will become a bonk member, a Board of Commissioner bonk member. So bonk is happening right now on the other side, competing with your board meeting and the State of the Union this evening. But we do have a new bonk board commissioner. Just wanted to inform you of that. With that, I'll be sending out a follow-up email if anybody has any questions. If you need assistance getting your code of conduct completed, if you need access to Cornerstone, please let me know. Make sure you can walk through your code of conduct, your ethics training, or your implicit bias training as well, and your funding training. So just if you need any help with that, please let me know. I'm more than glad to be helpful. And with
I don't
that,
need to touch with you.
Thank you, Gibson. Any questions for Gibson? Comments?
I did have a question, sir. I kind of wanted to
Oh.
know,
Alfredo?
yes, is Gibson going to be bringing the snacks to the in-person meeting, or who's bringing the snacks?
ooh, man, that's a lot of. And I'm trying
You
to avoid the
said after
snacks, sir.
March we have to do it. So who's bringing the snacks?
As much as I want to say I'm a good person with the snacks, I don't think I got it like that. I'm hoping the board will take action today on recommendations. But if you guys have any favorites, I'm glad to hear it, and I'll see if there's anything I can
I'm
help in
appointing
bringing
Gibson.
the first day.
I'm appointing
Okay.
Gibson to bring it snacks.
All right.
That's a lot of pressure. But thank you for
That is.
that.
It's not just the board though, Gibson. Okay, Karen, you've got your hand up, so you got the floor.
Yes, quick question. The bus benches, is that the department paying for that, or is Granada North paying for that? For our boundaries?
Good question. Let me double check just to make sure on the ad placement.
And if so, what's the cost?
Yes, it would be up to the neighborhood council. It would have a pricing of for one print, it's $150 per print. If you do 2 to 9, it's going to be $100. If you do 10 to 24, it's going to be $80. 80 per
Okay.
print. Let me not say
I was
Let me
just
be,
saying
let
for
me,
the
let me be
bundle,
confused.
that's,
80 per bus
Mm,
line, that would be good.
Yeah, but the best benches would have to be taken by a cop by the board. And yeah, I think just one more thing I want to touch base upon with board members is just want to make sure that everybody is always aware of the code of conduct in regards to within the neighborhood council system. So please kind of take a look at that if you want us to touch base on it. I'm more than glad to do a quick run through in terms of in the future board meeting to be on the agenda, so we can have a discussion of the code of conduct, the ethics, and just the functions of a neighborhood council board member. I do think we'd want to make sure that we maintain sort of a sense of what the responsibilities look like. And especially if we're going to be doing it in person, I'd like us to sort of have a good system of how that looks like when we're functioning. We want to make sure that, especially when we're conducting neighborhood council business in and outside of our neighborhood council, we're able to just kind of be respectful towards one another and accommodating. And I just want to make sure if you guys need any help, I'm more than glad to provide assistance with that. As you know, the department is in the process of finalizing the implicit bias, gender expression, gender identity training. And we want to make sure that that training is going to be taken by everybody. Similar to all the other trainings that are in the Cornerstone platform, it is mandatory. This is something that the city council took action upon, because for also city employees, we have been required to do implicit bias training. So any volunteers and participants within the city system are required to conduct this. So it will be in the Cornerstone system. And if you have any questions about that, please feel free to follow up with me, and I'm more than glad to be of assistance.
thank you, Gibson. Ralph, you have a question for Gibson?
Yes, I need to get in touch with him. I need his help. I've had difficulties getting in. I have to do my financial training, and I'm not going to be able to vote for the financial bits today.
Okay. I'll follow up with you, Ralph, and then we'll definitely walk you through. So I want to make sure that you see how to do because the thing about the Cornerstone platform is not intuitive, and it's something that we're cognizant of, and it's something that we're trying to figure out how we could minimize the steps of confusion when it comes to taking a retraining within Cornerstone.
Thank you, Gibson.
Thank
Sid,
you.
Thank you. Thank you. My video stream's not working well. You know, if I can correct it. I have a question on this gender training. Is this going to be training, or is there an examination that one has to take to pass?
I will definitely have questions at the end, but the intent is to provide a better explanation as we continue to move forward. I think one thing that we want to it just kind of emphasize is we are within the city of LA, and it's something that our department is pushing. We want to talk about equity. We want to call out any issues of implicit bias. We want to make sure we are able to identify and just kind of explain what is considered discrimination in today's day and age, just to sort of how that language looks like and how we want to incorporate that within the neighborhood council system and make sure that we are professional with one another.
Again, just clarify to me, do I have to pass this? Do I have to pass an exam at the end? Is there a grade? I just took an exam today that I had to pass.
There'll be questions, but you're not required. There'll be questions at the end of the training. It's not just a video to complete. So there will be questions that you will be required to take.
But do I have to have them correct?
Yes, you do.
That means I have to be indoctrinated into that to pass. Is that it?
It's not indoctrination if the culture is what it is, the norm today.
No.
let's move on. Thank you, Gibson. Thank you for your time.
I have one question for Gibson.
Okay, I'm going to allow it, and let's just, after this, we'll move on. Rahim, go ahead.
Yeah, the question is, Gibson, you mentioned something about to have a hybrid meeting. The councils will have to bear some expenses. Do you know the cost of those expenses?
So the one thing that we are asking our entities is to take the action so we can maybe do an assessment on what equipment the board has now. The goal is if you have old equipment that has been in storage, we don't want that equipment to be thrown away. I think that's sort of wasteful. And if maybe there's a way we can make it work with previous equipment that you do have, it just depends as to what the board is in storage. And I'll touch base with you, Mr. President, so we can figure out what's in storage. Because I think one thing is for sure, we are adapting to a new way of meeting again. This is this is going to be new. is a large percentage of neighborhood council board members who've never met outside of Zoom. So there's a lot of neighborhood council be happening in that way. And so there's a lot of entities that also purchase equipment from years ago. And it's not necessarily that the equipment is old. They just want to make sure that it's something that we can use, that's usable for neighborhood council meetings. So I don't have the price estimate varies based off of each neighborhood council. What equipment that they've had stored and what goals are they looking to have. But some of my NCs, the pay rate scale can definitely range from a few $100s to a few thousand. So we are trying to make sure we can minimize the cost and not have to buy new equipment.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gibson. Let's see,
Thank
and
you.
we have Mirka, welcome. So Mirka Martinez, welcome from John Lee's office, our liaison. You've got the floor.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. I want to share that the council member is actually wrapping up a meeting at the moment and is free afterwards. So he would love to join and give the report himself if possible, if that's something that you guys are, accepting to. In which case, I will just, as soon as he's done, he'll communicate. I'll send him the link. And he'll
Sure.
get that report. So I will defer my time to him. And
Okay.
if it's okay, when he's available, he'll hop in.
Okay, so in the meantime, then let's thank you, Mirka, for that.
Of
So
course.
as soon as he jumps on, we will
Okay,
promote him to panelist. And I just want to make sure that he is not on the attendee list.
He shouldn't
Uh,
be. He's in a meeting at the moment, but
Okay,
after it's rare for him to have a Tuesday night. And so, I'm like,
Okay.
you're not exactly going to be on time, but he's like, oh, well, his meeting should be wrapping up soon. So
no, we'll be here for a bit. So we'll let him take the floor when he arrives. Karen, you've got your hand up.
yes, Mirka, I want to say thank you. I mean, from all of us, but of course, just thank you for all of your hard work in helping us secure our election location, because you did a fantastic job, and thank you.
of course.
Agree. Thank you so much. Okay, so then I am going to go on to Mr. Fisk. Richard, do you have anything for us from LAPD that we should?
Sure, I do. I have some different kind of statistics. This is a stat from comparing the last quarter of last year to the third quarter of the previous year. If that's comparing October, December to June and September. And in that time frame, the latest change has been 100%. I mean, I'm sorry, all the crime stats are down. The biggest down reduction in crime has been robberies. That was in the fourth quarter, there was 44. In the third quarter, there was 83. The other big reduction was in aggravated assault, which was down 40%. And if you take the aggregate, is total crime is down 28.2% in Devonshire as of the end of December. And I think the trend is still going that way. They do also have a new way of statting. They have a Part 1 crimes transient related, where they look at the crimes that related to either victims or suspects of transients. And in that, in that time frame, there's been a 24.8% reduction. And just for information, though, they're not just arresting people; they are providing housing. They have found shelter for about 10% or more, the ones that want it. So they're working in all areas. I did send, I think, Oscar and to Karen, LAPD has sent a list of 4 or 5 different safety issues, flyers. And so if you can distribute those to anybody that wants them, that would be most helpful. One of them was related to what happens if you get into a traffic accident. And one thing that is not on the flyer, and I just personally got involved with it as a volunteer, is that if you do get into a traffic accident, no harm done, I mean, no physical harm, no personal injury per se, the police will basically not respond. But the problem is that if your car needs to be towed away, there are people called tow truck pirates that you need to be well aware of. They look at crime stats and they get there before ambulances or even the police if they need it. and they rush up to the victims and they offer to help tow the car away. And usually they're unlicensed dealers. They'll take your car, you'll sign a waiver, and then you'll have to pay fines, exorbitant fees for the transport, and holding fees to get it out of the storage. So be careful of that if you do get involved in an accident. The other issue, thing I want to point out is on February 14th, Senior Lead Officer John Park will be holding an in-person meeting at Valentine's Day, partly at St. Euphrasia Church at 6 o'clock. And what else do I have to say? That's actually all my report. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Richard. Any questions? Raise your hands. And thank you for those files, Richard. I did see them earlier and I will forward them to the rest of the board. Karen, you've got the floor. And
yes,
then I'll
thank
get
you.
to attendees.
Thank you.
Hi,
Hi,
Karen.
Richard.
Hi.
Quick question on the criminal drones that are in use. I had a brief conversation with Officer Sellers about that. Could you share with the board and the community anything you know about that?
Well, yeah, that means I can't share anything because I don't know anything specifically about the drones.
Okay.
You know more than I do. I haven't even heard about that from Sellers or anyone else.
Oh, okay. Well, there are now drones that are, what they do is they monitor the area for when you leave home, and then they're robbing homes. So that's the latest.
Yeah, we're not allowed to shoot them down, though, I know.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. So I do have, wow, what an attendance. We have 25 people attending this meeting. This is great. Wade, you had your hand first, so please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Richard, did they speculate as to what might have caused the decrease in the robberies, et cetera? What was going on? Any reason for the decrease?
Well, one thing in Devonshire, thanks to John Lee, he's providing a lot of overtime money, and which allows more officers to be on the streets. So that could be a contributing factor. Also, the volunteers with the property crimes, they stay in one given area, we showed an increase in property crimes in the past, which is mostly up in your area, the north part of Granada Hills, and that showed a big decrease in crime. What happens is that there's groups of people, groups of criminals, usually in high-end cars, sometimes rental, there used to be 2 or 3 people. We see the volunteers see them in the neighborhood and they call it in to a patrol officer. And sometimes in the past, I know for a fact that we have seen in the volunteer cars, the black and whites that we drive around, we have lights on the top. And we have seen cars that are suspicious with several people in them see us and speed away. So that might be somewhat of a contributing factor. That doesn't really account for the part 1 real homicides and rapes and robberies, assault, because volunteers really don't have a lot to do with that per se.
Thank you.
Summing up, I would say it's probably due to the extra patrols that were afforded Devonshire.
Okay, let's see. I do have a caller in user 1. I don't know how any other way to identify you, but please unmute yourself by dialing *6. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next caller, Annie O.
Hello?
Okay, hold on. Yes, we can hear you now.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Over the past 2 months, our neighborhood has been targeted by the same 3 men who have been trespassing and robbing homes of hardworking families. Yesterday, they went into a home with a family inside. This is alarming and should be a top priority. Police reports have been made, but I would like to hear your recommendations regarding the safety concern within the community. Will you be ensuring that we receive more police presence? And I'm speaking up for the community because we do not feel safe, and it's time action is taken before someone gets hurt. Thank you.
One of those flyers I did send, which Oscar or Karen will disseminate, talks about property and home safety. And one of the things that is necessary, if you can, is to always call in suspicious activity immediately. They do take those calls and they take those calls seriously. Also, if it's recurring time frame or a particular car, try to get that information down to call it in every time. That's, I mean, there's nothing else you can really do about it. Like I said, extra patrols around, but it's up to everyone here to call in suspicious activity. They welcome that because every call is a call for service. And when there is a lot of calls, they put extra patrols in those areas and it's noted. If no one calls in and report a crime or suspicious crime, there hasn't been a crime then. So I would suggest, again, keeping track of the time, and if you can get license plates and call into non-emergency numbers. And if it's an emergency, don't hesitate to call 911. I personally did 2 weeks ago with looked like some people were driving on the wrong side of the street and they backed up to a house and looked like they were stealing a motorcycle. I called 911 and the helicopter came around almost immediately, and about several minutes later, 3 police cars pulled up. It turns out that the guy owned the motorcycle. It's very odd, but it was a good call.
Okay, let's move on to Annie O. Please unmute yourself.
Hi there. I was also calling in regards to the recent string of rampant burglaries that's been happening in the neighborhood. And I wanted to hear from you what the city is planning on doing and what it is currently doing to address these ongoing rampant and very broad daylight type of burglaries that are happening. And actually, one of the burglaries that did happen recently was at my first cousin's home 2 days ago. So my house has also been burglarized within the last 10 years. We have cities around the area like Huntington, Cerritos, Costa Mesa, Burbank, who charter and have their own police departments. If we're spread too thin with patrol, is there any plans to give us some sort of like a movement towards chartering our own private police department or, you know, sheriff's department, any type of serious measure? Because we all have ring alarms, we all have ADP securities, we have all of that, but the clear brazenness of these individuals it's kind of something that needs to be seriously addressed.
Well,
Thank you.
I think I've answered that before in saying we have extra patrols thanks to John Lee with the LAPD and the volunteers when it's a targeted area and call in that. But I don't think the LAPD or any other agency is looking to start another organization, a safety organization.
It's not another safety organization per se. Do we need, because when you call the LAPD, they're chartered throughout the whole county. Do we need to have something like what Cerritos has, where they charter their own, they charter the sheriff's department to take care of their city, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department? Do we need to put some sort of measure like that? Because I don't know if the extra patrol is working. At some point, we're kind of afraid to leave our houses because we want to know exactly what's going on at every moment right now.
So,
Well, the
Annie,
best thing-
go ahead. Go ahead.
Please attend the neighborhood watch put on by the LAPD in the area. I just mentioned February 14th is one coming up at the church. You can talk directly with LAPD. The sheriffs are hired in the county, they're county sheriff, and they go into unincorporated areas. LAPD is tasked with servicing Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles. So they're not going to, sheriff is not going to be in LAPD's territory.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to move on to the next caller. Thank you, Annie. Jeanette Bloom. Unmute yourself, please.
Yes, this is her husband, Steve Bloom.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. Our first time to participate. Appreciate you guys' service on the board. My question is regarding communication with the board. I've sent some emails to Mr. Gold, to Mr. Jimenez, to yourself, and to the board in general, and have never had a response at all to even say, yeah, I got your email and your subject is nothing we look after. But I didn't get a hi, yay, or nothing. So I didn't know if there was a better way to communicate with the board and ask questions or what.
No, Mr. Bloom, no, your approach is correct, and we will address it, and I will get to it. It's just one thing to think about is that most members on this board, we do work our normal work. So sometimes, it's hard to get to those emails, but I will get to it and respond to yours. Okay.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Sure.
That was my
Thank
question.
you. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Neil Butala. Unmute
Hi,
yourself,
yeah.
please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate and sort of emphasize what's been already said here. And my home was burglarized in February of last year. My neighbor's home was burglarized in January of this year. Another neighbor of mine was burglarized, and I'm talking adjacent homes, not down the street, adjacent homes. And we live in a very nice part of the Granada Hills. And, as has been articulated, we're very scared to leave our houses because we think people are monitoring us and burglarizing us when we leave our homes, and they know when we're not home. And it seems like there's not a substantial amount of police activity. I haven't seen the police force or tracking security cameras everywhere, and it's very disconcerting because I have young children at home. And I think, as somebody mentioned yesterday, there was an armed robbery in someone's house where they actually entered the home with firearms. And it's disconcerting. It really just bothers me that my family doesn't feel safe, my neighbors don't feel safe, and it feels like the police department, with this statistics that were just read, are sort of patting themselves on the back for reducing crime and maybe violent crime, but the rest of us are concerned citizens, and we're not entirely clear. And saying calling into the police and so forth sounds like some form of action, but what we would like to know is what sort of additional steps, like detective work, investigations. It seems like these things deployed in our area to track down what seems like the same perpetrators. I don't even think it's like a large group of people. It seems like the same people are committing these crimes over and over again. And if you just look at a Ring report or the Citizens Act, you can see their
Thank you,
pictures.
Mr. Butala. Thank you. I think 2 minutes are up, but we will, as Mr. Fisk has said, Councilmember Lee is doing his best to get more patrols out there, given, what happened several years back, and that is, defunding of some police, but he's doing his best. So we do appreciate your input. And again, his office is doing as much as they can to patrol our streets.
Oscar, if I may, Richard and I attended in December, a meeting held by LAPD and Deputy Chief Hamilton. And we are down by 1,500 officers. And the territory that our LAPD is covering is from the 405 freeway to, correct me if I'm wrong, Richard, up to Topanga and then down to Roscoe. Is that right? Is that okay?
Basically, yes.
Okay, so just please keep
50
in
some
mind-
square miles.
Right. So unfortunately, we are down 1,500 officers. We do hear you 100%. We all live in the Granada North community, but from Deputy Chief Hamilton, who is second in line, I believe, behind Chief Michael Moore, unfortunately, that is the situation right now. So just look out for each other and be diligent and looking out for your neighbors.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah, I'm going to keep this moving. There's 2 more calls and then we're going to close off this item. Sam Quasman, please unmute yourself.
Yes, hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. I'm a Granada Hills stakeholder, and it's come to my attention that nothing has changed. I used to be on the GHNNC board for 3 years. I just don't know how you can enable an obstructionist like Brian Allen to come in and interfere in other neighborhood councils by pushing their own agenda. And I can't believe the conduct of a board member of another board interfering by bullying, harassing.
Sam, point of order.
Yes.
Point of order, if I may. If you would like to raise that, we can wait for public comment. Right now, we are talking about an official. We are talking about police. So if you'd like, we can get back to you in the next item.
Thank
So
you.
I'm gonna mute you for now. Thank you very
Okay.
much. All right, Sid,
Yes, I just want to make it, sounds important to me. I think that our Public Safety Committee really should look into this and meet with the neighbors and see what's going on. Have a full-fledged meeting on this. Thank you.
And by the way, you can, if you do schedule a meeting like that, you can call the senior lead officer and they will attend, given enough notice.
thank you. So we're gonna close this off. Richard, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the updates.
You're welcome.
Let's see, and I do not see any other government official on the call. Let's see here, I'm gonna, okay, so let's move on then to item E, public comment on agenda or non-agenda items. Limited to 2 minutes. Let's see, who do we have? I don't see any hands raised. Okay. Mr. or Sam Quasman, go ahead. I'm going to unmute you. You have the floor.
Yes. Like I said, I'm a Granada Hills stakeholder. It's come to my attention that nothing has changed around here. I used to be on the NHWNC board for 3 years, and I just don't know how you can enable an obstructionist like Brian Allen to come in and interfere in other neighborhood councils by pushing their own agenda. And I can't believe the conduct of a board member of another board interfering by bullying, harassing, abusing, threatening, and belittling another board. Just because he can speak as an individual doesn't give him carte blanche to exhibit his abusive behavior. Brian Allen was and is an embarrassment and a disgrace, in my opinion, by throwing his weight around. Shame on you, Brian. Why are you sticking your nose in other council's business? The issue is Brian has a friend on the NHWNC board who he enables this individual's unethical behavior. And I'm talking about a board member who physically assaulted me while I was on the board. And Brian supports this person and approves of his abusive behavior. When I had a unanimous vote by the NHWC and the GHSNC, which this member was part of, to change the boundaries back to Granada Hills in my neighborhood because we were never North Hills, I had to go in front of the LANCC to get them to vote to approve the border change. Who shows up? But Brian Allen, who drove this individual, who is an NHWNC board member then and now, to the meeting to protest, negate, and object to the very boundary change he voted for. This individual contradicted himself by going against the unanimous NHWNC board's decision. Yet Brian Allen was there sticking his nose once again into another council's business affair. In spite of this intrusion, I received a unanimous vote to change the boundary. And Brian Allen, the big fish in a little pond syndrome, supports this. I think I never really gauged your cruelty or your recklessness. Have you no sense of decency? Have you no shame?
Thank you, Ms. Quasman. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. Oh, Mr. Centercole, you have the floor. Unmute yourself, please.
Hi,
Hi,
my name
good
is
evening.
Mark. I'm going to ask the president, Mr. President here. I also am on and a member of another board, and one of your members is constantly harassing, belittling the president of the council, as well as the treasurer, threatening. I mean, I don't understand what Brian Allen is doing. What kind of person is this man? Is he just a little bully? He's a sexist, a racist. What are you going to do about this man? I've already reported this to Mayor Bass, and I've already had a phone call from them about Brian doing this. It's just horrible. I mean, you have no idea. He wastes so much time telling them what they're doing wrong. And look at him. He is wrong all the time. I attended a meeting a few weeks ago, and they asked him a question, and he didn't have the answer for the budget. I mean, Brian, what's your problem? You know what? You're just a little pussy that wants to
Okay,
act like
Mr.
a jerk.
Satterthwaite, I think the language, I'm going to
Okay,
now
I'm
have to
sorry.
mute you. No, I think I'm okay with you expressing your point of view, but there has to be some level of decency. So I'm going to go ahead and mute you at this point. Thank you very much for your attendance. Okay, and there's one more caller in, call in user number 1. I don't know who you are, but let me unmute you or ask. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Can Richard please go over where Senior Lead Officer John Parker was going to be on February 14 again?
I'm sorry, what was that question?
Richard mentioned that on February 14th, there was going to be an officer regarding the neighborhood watch.
Yeah, that was at St. Euphrasia Church, Tuesday, the 14th at 6 o'clock in person.
And do you know the address, or can you say the name again of the church?
St. Euphrasia Church, it's north of Rinaldi on Shoshone.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, let's move on. Thank you so much. And let's see here. Okay, so I am going to, there's nothing for me. Item F, President. I'm going to move on to item G, Executive Committee. So let's look at, you should have received all the minutes for the meetings that we are to approve, the meeting minutes that we're approving on this today. Hopefully you've all reviewed them. So not sure, does anybody want to address any one of these individually? Any questions?
Oscar, only one. On September 6th, we did not have quorum due to Rosh Hashanah. So this date should be, that was the 15th of September.
Okay, so we will remove that. So we're not going to take action on item G1A. Okay, thank you, Karen. Okay, so then we have the 4, October 4th, 2022 board meeting, October 19th, 2022 special meeting of the board, November 1st, 2022 board meeting, January 18th, 2023 special meeting of the board. Any comments, questions on any of those items?
Motion to approve.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Alvin.
All at once?
Okay, yeah, we can do all at once. So let's take a vote. Well, let's do it simply. Any opposed? State your name. I hear none. Any abstentions? State your name. I hear none. These items are approved by unanimous vote. Okay. Brandon, you got that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's see, moving on to item G2. Discussion and motion to approve Public Records Act request for the Sunshine Canyon Amenities Fund expenditures and bookkeeping from November or January 1st, 2011 through the present. GHNNC request by annual reports for full transparency moving forward. So that's open for discussion.
Oscar?
Yes.
I need to recuse myself, and I think, I serve on the Sunshine Canyon Community Advisory Committee, and Michael is the general manager, so I think we have to recuse ourselves.
Okay.
From this particular item.
So this item, I think, let's see who is on that. So this item was put on here because we've been asking for information. Now, I've learned recently, and Mark, I think you were gonna update us on this, but John not being here, so I've learned recently that expenditures that are coming through the Sunshine Canyon landfill are actually public record. They are available because they have to go through the council, so there are council files. I just learned that recently. Karen, you actually brought something to my attention as well. So that information is available. So if anyone wanted to get that information, we can get it. But let's see. Let's see, Hams, Wade, Hunter, I see your hand up, so mute yourself, please.
Yeah, thank you. Karen, you were mentioning about being on the SCLCAC as a reason not to participate. I wouldn't see it that way. The Sunshine Canyon Amenities Fund is a requirement that based on the tonnage, a certain amount of money goes into a fund that's supposed to be dispersed within 5 or 6 miles of here. And as I said, all records are public records, so it wouldn't be any issue. To be honest with you, if I was sitting on that committee, I wouldn't recuse myself if I was.
Okay, so you know what, that being the case, Wade, thank you. Brian, you have your hand up and I'll let you, and then I would suggest, well, go ahead and Brian, take it, and then I'm gonna make a comment.
I'm in agreement with Wade. The Sunshine Amenities Fund, CAG, it is not involved in any way with the money itself. As a matter of fact, Granada Hills North is the council that championed the issue and the reason for the fund being established to begin with. So as far as I can see, there is no financial impact by Karen being a participant in this issue. So I agree with you.
What I'm going to recommend is that we not discuss this item, that we put it off for another meeting, and that Karen, you reach out to City Attorney's Office and clarify that, because in the past we've tried that, or we've done so, and that it is a requirement that even though we may feel that we should recuse ourselves, right, there has to be something that comes from LA City Attorney's Office actually making that determination. So I'm going to move this item to the next meeting, re-agendize it until we can get clarification from the City Attorney's Office.
Okay. I didn't hear back from her, so, but.
Okay, so, and everybody knows that in my, when I send the agenda at the bottom of the email, it says, if you so much as feel that there is a conflict, you should reach out to the City Attorney's Office beforehand, before this item is discussed in public. So, Karen, if we can do that. Alfredo, you've got your hand up.
Yes, the concern is if Karen recuses herself because she's got personal reasons for doing so, that's fine. Can we still discuss it and vote on it for, I mean, matter of record? I mean, it's on here. Why can't we, will we not be meeting quorum because of that? Is that the issue?
It has nothing to do with quorum, Alfredo. It has to do with, we've had the issue before, just as I did with one of the items that's on here. I did reach out to the City Attorney's Office, and that item did not get on this agenda until they clearly indicated what direction to take. So when they told me that I have to recuse myself, now I know. Right now, we're questioning whether members need to recuse themselves or not. We've been in this situation before. So with that said, because we don't have clear instructions from the City Attorney's Office, I'm going to move that this item be pushed out until that is done. Alvin?
Yeah, Oscar, I'm just clarifying, don't we have to make motion to table this, or we're pushing it out and it's an item?
Well, we could, Gibson, and I'm saying that we don't, because, or we shouldn't move forward with this. And again, because I do not want to put this board in a precarious situation because it has not been cleared by the City Attorney's Office.
I would support the president's what do you call it, statement and sort of plan for action. I think this does make sense to hold off. I do acknowledge that there has been a slow response from the City Attorney's Office, and I think just because of the transition, but we'll definitely emphasize, I'll follow up with you, Ms. Waters, to make sure that you receive a response from the City Attorney's Office as a follow-up in the course of the week. So the board action will be able to be addressed in the next board meeting.
Thank you.
Sid, you got your hand up?
Thank you. I object, that we're sort of being hamstrung by the city attorney. Karen made an inquiry, got no feedback, and now we're hamstrung that we can't do anything. And this is a new change in what the city attorney does. Before, we never had to ask their permission to talk about something. And
I beg to differ, Sid. Again, that comment has been on my agendas, on my emails. When I send the agenda in email, I make that.
so I
comment
understand.
clear.
It's a
So,
new way of dealing with it.
So,
I think we
that
have an
is always,
opportunity.
and I've done it for that reason, because I don't want there to be any possibility that, we're doing something that we shouldn't be doing.
Well, let's have a motion to table, and can we move forward?
A second.
Sorry, but point of order. I think the motion should be postponement, not table.
Okay. So to postpone this item
So
until we hear from the city attorney's
who's
office.
motioning to postpone since Karen recused herself? Who's motioning to postpone it?
I was the one that suggested it, and I strongly recommend it.
And I'll second
Oscar,
the motion.
I'll make the motion to postpone it.
I will second it. Okay. Any opposed to postponing this item? State your
Why
name.
did we change it from Oscar to Brian?
Huh?
Why did we change it from Oscar to Brian?
What?
You motioned to postpone it, and then Brian motioned to postpone it. Why? Why the request? Why the change, Oscar?
If this is an argument, Oscar, you can take the motion.
Who's going to second it then? I mean,
Hey, I'm just a secretary. I'm just
okay. So
you know,
I will. Good God.
I believe I heard Calvin second it.
Was
Robert.
Actually, it was Robert that seconded.
Okay, it was Robert. Sorry.
Okay, so let's take a vote. Any opposed? State your name.
Sid Gold.
Okay. Any others? Any
Brian.
abstention?
Brian, I'm opposing it.
Okay, Brian Allen. Any others?
afraid is motioning. Oh, I'm sorry, it's also
Fredo
against
Castillo?
postponement.
Okay.
Yes.
Any others? Any abstentions?
Since this has pony to do it, am I voting in any way? I would say,
All right, so I've got 3 opposed, no abstentions. So this motion passes. This is going to get
7 yeses,
postponed.
right? 7 yeses because Karen was recused, right?
Correct.
Karen can vote to postpone.
She can vote to postpone it. She can't discuss it. So it would be 8 to postpone it. So this item is going to get postponed to the next meeting. All right, moving on. Time check 7:30, and we do have a good number of attendees. I'm sure they would like to get to their item. Let's see. So G3, discussion motion to appoint Michael Stewart, General Manager of Sunshine County Landfill, to the GHNNC district. That's supposed to say 3, right? Or 1 seat? No, 1 seat. 1. That's right. That's right. 1. Michael, welcome, and thank you for your patience.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the warm welcome.
You
and I would
made it.
look forward to an opportunity to be a board member of the Granada Hills North Neighborhood Council.
So any questions? Do you, Michael, have any questions before I open it up to the board?
I do not.
Have questions for Michael?
I have a
Michael,
question.
what's that? Who?
Sid Gold, I have
Sid?
a question.
You've got the
Have you
floor.
have you done all the training?
I have
for
not.
Board members?
I have not, but I will gladly do it in whatever time allotment is required.
Thank you.
Gibson can help you with that, Michael.
Okay.
So how long have you been with the company?
I've been with the company for, it'll be 19 years in April.
Wow, excellent. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
I just want to know how did you get cornered into volunteering? I mean, how did you get encouraged to volunteer?
Volunteer to be on the board.
Yes, sir.
Karen is a very persuasive individual, and she reached out and gave me a call when she found out of my new position, and she talked me right into it.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to it. We look forward to working with you, Michael.
It's the same with you. Thank you.
And he's a Chiefs fan.
Okay, so any questions? So now we just need to take a vote. Is that okay? So let's move on then. Any opposed to appointing Michael? State your name. I hear none. Any abstentions? I hear none. Michael, welcome to the board. So I will add you to our Zoom meetings so that you can join us every month.
Thank you very much.
So you are now duly a GHNNC board member. Excellent.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Just remember, there's no overtime here.
Perfect.
Let's move on to item G4. Discussion and motion to approve the following NPG neighborhood purposes grant. This was on the last agenda. We had to re-agendize it because there's concern or there's some issues with the payment of this because of some dating on the NPG itself. Brian, did you want to add to that, or it's just?
Well, I still have communication. I'm still working on communication with NC funding. The issue that stopped this was the date of 9/1 on the NPG and the fact that they checked that there is a conflict of interest on the board. The conflict of interest on the board was an error, I'm sure, because it doesn't exist. There is no one on this board that is affiliated with the foundation. So I can't tell you that this will solve the problem, but I am suggesting, and I have done that in emails to NC funding, and I also have communication with Petty herself. I'm suggesting that the NPG be revised by the foundation to provide a statement that there is no conflict of interest. No one on the board is in conflict of interest. And hopefully that will solve the problem. I can't do anything about the date. The street fair is already passed. They will have to make an exception for this based on the fact that we approved it earlier. I do have a problem personally with the fact that we, and I heard what you said earlier, Karen, but the BAC that we produced was dated 9/6. That is one of the reasons why they denied it. That is the main reason. Now, I want to check the minutes themselves, the attendance that was taken on 9/6 to be sure that the quorum loss that we had was not 9/6. I didn't think it was. I don't know for sure, but I thought the quorum loss was in August. And that's the reason that we put this on the September agenda. And I believe we approved it on this September agenda. And as I say, I could be wrong. But both you and I signed it with the date 9/6, Oscar. So I would like to verify that. And I would like to get a revised NPG from the foundation. And I would like to get a final decision from NC funding as to how they're going to allow us to make this payment. When that is accomplished, I think there's no problem in getting it done. But that's what I believe has to happen.
Okay, so does it make sense at this point to move forward with this item? We can move forward and approve it, or
no? And
take action,
I said that to Petty. I wrote that in an email to Petty that approving this today, we're still in violation of the paperwork. And her statement to me was the paperwork has to be okay. It has to be, the paperwork has to work. So hopefully we can simply solve this problem by following through with these ideas. And I will be able to give you an answer as soon as NC funding gives me an answer.
Okay, so let me give the floor to some board members who have their hand up. Alfredo.
I think this, when we talked about this at the last meeting, I suggested redoing the paperwork? Are we having I mean, and we know we owe this money because we agreed to it and we also attended this function. And we need to pay it. And we're looking bad in the public eye at this point in time as to why we're doing this. I suggested that we did do the paperwork again. Are we having a battle of someone heads wants to be right or wrong on this? Because we owe the money, pay up.
The answer to your question is NC funding has not seen fit to make the payment. That's because they see issues with the NPG. Now, we applied for it, but they denied it. So until NC funding can come back around and say, okay, here is the procedure, we don't have much choice. We can't, we don't have a checkbook. We can't write the check ourselves. We have to go through NC funding. And that's where we're at the moment. There is nobody trying to hold this up, contrary to what everyone has heard. No one, including myself, is trying to hold this up. I made a decision not to follow through until we got the proper paperwork. Unfortunately, I was in error on the need for the letter that described the event. It has now been determined, and I do apologize for that, but it was originally, and I was on the work group that set the NC funding up. Originally, that letter needed to be there. Now, obviously, the foundation and everybody else that we work with thought the same thing because we got a letter from them, but it was on the wrong letterhead. And technically and legally, we can't utilize that because it would be commingling funds. Even though all the funds that the foundation collects for this purpose go to the chamber, we cannot make that determination. That is a determination they have to make because they have every right to put that money wherever they want. All right, so I was looking for that letter. I talked to Dave Bouvet about it. I believe that I had also mentioned it to Madalena. I can't say for sure. I'd have to check my emails. I believe I sent an email out, but and I may not have. However, I know it was addressed, and I was told by Dave Bouvet in one of our meetings that he would make that correction. Now, he doesn't have control either, but obviously that didn't happen. So that is why I held it up, because I was waiting for that letter.
Okay, so now
That's
Brian,
the long and the short of it.
Okay, so let's move on. Karen, and then Alvin, and I know there's an attendee, and the goal here is ultimately to get this rectified so that we can get these funds processed.
It is, and so I'm going to say here, and in addition to the item M1 on the outreach part, there is Brian, you said you spoke with Dave Bouvet, but he's not the president of the foundation. Ms. Manassian is, but because of the conflict of interest with her also being the president of the neighborhood council who censured your friend, you wouldn't speak to her, so you spoke to Dave Bouvet. So to make this short,
hold up, sorry, I don't want mistakes in communication. You're making
there
an
isn't a
assumption.
mistake. Excuse me, I'm speaking.
It is a mistake. It is a mistake, Karen, because in no way did I ever have any statement that I would not speak with Madalena. Madalena thinks somehow that I don't want to speak to her. It is not true.
Okay, you had your turn, and I would appreciate if you would not interrupt me. Now, what we need to do here, and Oscar has said this many times, is when an MPG comes to our board, we owe every applicant equitable and fair treatment and vetting of their NPG. If there is any conflict, we need to have the financial officer who is capable, who has no beef with anyone in the community, to review the NPG with the applicant. So if there is a missing date or anything is out of order on the forms, the person can be treated fairly and equitably, and we don't have an NPG that's outstanding for 4 or 5 months. It's not fair. We're having a problem now that people are calling looking for payments that haven't been made. And so, you know, with all due respect where it's due, in this particular case, it's not a secret. It's pretty well known. It's, you know, this community is very small.
Okay, so I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
start cutting this down because the motion is to vote on an MPG. Now, if at this point, it's not a good time to do so because there is still some cleanup that needs to be done with the documentation, then we can again postpone this item until that is done.
Was
And
was a cop,
with the
sorry, was a
goal
copy
again,
of that request attached to this
no,
agenda?
no, it was not. That was not.
Because we're kind of talking
So Alvin, I'm sorry.
as if
I'm
we
gonna
actually
let-
know
I'm
all of
gonna-
the facts, and it looks to me, and I'm sorry, but I checked the minutes for September 6th. We had a 3.5 hour meeting,
Okay, so that one, so it must have been the August one then.
and I recorded and I did the minutes the way that they're supposed to be done, but I was told September 6th was not a valid, and that's the reason we didn't vote on the actual
So
meeting.
we have to go back and vote for that one then. So with that said, Alfredo,
So, thank you.
let's move. I gotta move on to Alvin. Then there was an attendee and then Brian, and we're going to cut this item so that we can move forward because it is 7:43. Alvin, you've got the floor.
I guess I'm just a little confused because I thought that the reason that this didn't move forward was one, we were past the 45 days. And I already thought that we were, you know, past like the technicalities on, you know, the letter and everything. So it's, I mean, it's like we're already past 45 days in this. Now, you know, it's like when we're about to take a step forward, it's like now we're looking at a technicality again on the letter when this is something that was looked at like, this is something that was looked at back in the fall. Really, the only issue that I picked up on was that we passed the 45 days. That's what I remember.
Okay, well, thank you, Alvin. And I believe that's what I believe that is what Brian is addressing with this LA City Clerk's office, right?
Okay,
Brian?
Oscar, I have to tell you, the 45-day issue never came up. It was not denied because of 45 days past any date. The reasons that they gave, and you can read them in you all got the denial. The denial was because of the dating on it. And when I talked to Melvin, it's because of the checking of a conflict of interest. Those are the reasons it was denied, regardless of when it was asked for. It would have been paid when I submitted it if those items hadn't been mishandled. Now, the reason they were mishandled, and we all know this, is because in August, we did have a loss of quorum. We did not vote for it in August. It did not get back on our agenda. Now, had we been looking at that carefully, we probably would have had a special meeting to address it before the date of 9/1. That still wouldn't have solved the conflict of interest issue, but at least we would have caught that. The other thing I want to bring to a point, because you've got an issue later on to discuss, but this NPG, this particular NPG did not come to me. It came to you and Karen, Oscar, and the vetting of it was done by you guys. The first I saw of it was when we got into a meeting with it and I asked for it. So had I seen that, I might have picked up on it. I might not have. I can't tell you for sure. But the fact is, we didn't specifically mishandle it, but the circumstances that happened there between getting the NPG, reviewing the NPG, and putting it on an agenda that we could vote on it just caused us not to be able to follow through.
Okay. Point of order,
it's
Brian.
wrong.
I have an
It's
email.
wrong that we ran into this, but we did. Right now, the issue is to resolve it. And I am working with NC funding to resolve it. So if you will please bear with me to make that happen.
One point of clarification here. I have the email trail where I.
Okay, Karen, let's move on.
No, but wait, just one moment. I want to make sure it's clear that I have the email trail and I'll be happy to forward that with.
Please do, because if I'm wrong, I will apologize.
Okay, so I'm going to, Alfredo, I'm going to move on to the attendee, and I'm going to close this item because we need to move on. Madalena, please unmute yourself.
Hello, Mr. Jimenez and board. Thank you. My name is Madalena Manassian, and I am the president for the Granada Hills Community Foundation. Thank you for previously approving the MPG, but here we are in the midst of this conversation where you guys did approve, attended the fun event. We had fun, but yet the funds were not approved to be paid by City Clerk's office. Mr. Allen is saying a lot of things, and actually one of your board members made some comments whether or not this may something to do with personal. I do believe that it is also personal because, and I can speak also as speaking as my own behalf, and my statements do not represent an opinion of my board because I am a board president as well. So I just want to be clear that they're my statements and not my board's. Mr. Allen is not happy the way I conduct business. He's made it quite clear. He claims that he knows all the NC funding issues and what is needed. He usually instructs us to do things because he knows best. But when it comes to this particular MPG, even though he knew he's the treasurer, it falls on him to make sure that things get processed timely. And yet he never even bothered to get hold of me, where he sees me in my meetings, or he knows my number, he knows my email. He's emailed me before about requesting recordings of my neighborhood council meetings. But yet when it came to this MPG, never bothered to contact me for me to provide maybe an updated MPG. Furthermore, the letter that he's speaking of is not required document. Whether it is on a wrong letterhead or not is not the issue for nonprofits. As a treasurer, he should have known that, but he's claiming things and trying to deflect and saying it's this issue, that issue, and this and that. I don't believe it is. I think the responsibility was his, and I think he made a personal choice in a certain way. And I hope that this is not going to become an issue later on where we're all in the same communities or neighboring communities, and we're trying to work together for the betterment of and we all volunteer on different boards. I am on my neighborhood council, and I'm also on the foundation board, and I'm also on another board as a community member. And if we have a personal issue or conflict, I hope that we're mature enough to be able to put that aside, our personal feelings, and remain professional so that our organizations can do the work of the community and not impede in the work of the neighborhood community. And thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Madalena. Okay, Alfredo, and I'm going to close it off.
Yes, we're
After
gonna do
this.
that. I just do want to state that on September 6th, when we discussed this NPG requirements, I am looking at the Granada Hills Chamber of Commerce letter where Madalena signed as president, or the person who was actually requesting this. And maybe that could be the part of the reason why there's a conflict of interest in that situation. I really don't know. However, I did ask that this NPG be rewritten at that time. However, in our personal efforts, because the deadline was approaching and we needed to attend this, we let it go through. Well, here's one of those things that maybe we shouldn't be so eager to, because we're under pressure to get this thing done, that we need to get this thing done. Maybe it should have been in a previous month earlier so we can do this rightfully. To me, we may run into a situation where they may say, oh, it's over 45 days old, like Alvin reiterated just a little while ago. What is the issue of having this NPG rewritten? I'm wondering.
Okay, well, and I'm going to close it off here, Alfredo. Just what I'm going to say is this. This is a lesson for us to make sure that again, every MPG that comes before us, as I've said before, is vetted, is fixed, and if something's missing, we do outreach to that organization that submitted it to make sure that everything is in order, so that by the time it gets to this board, there is no question, and all we have to do is discuss it and take an action or a vote on it. So that's what we're going to have to, enforce. So with that, let's close this item off then. Again, I don't know, we'll postpone it. So I I recommend that we postpone it. Is there a second on that?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Brian. Okay. Any opposed to postponing this? State your name. Any abstentions?
I have a question.
Ralph, we had discussion. What's the question?
Well, am I allowed to vote on? I think not.
We're not
We're
voting on the
postponing.
actual item. We're voting to postpone it. So you can. We're not voting to on the finances part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So this passes unanimously. It will get postponed. All right, let's move on to item H, treasurer report.
I'm sorry, sir, I was unclear on that one. You said yes, and then we were interrupted by Ralph on what, everybody said yes, postponing it?
If the only one, then his question is Ralph. Ralph, are you objecting? Are you abstaining?
I would vote, for it, but if I'm allowed.
But
Okay,
is the
so
funding
if you-
completed?
So it is unanimous. It
Yeah.
it does get postponed. We good, Alfredo?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, Brian,
Okay, do you have the, I don't have the MER
let me
available.
share. Yeah, let me share the screen. I do have it up here somewhere.
Everyone has received the MER. The only payment that was made on that one was
Thought
for
I
storage,
did.
$210.
No, that's the agenda. There we go. Okay. So you should see, I have the MER on screen.
If
Let
you
me
roll
know.
down, you'll see there's only one payment on there, $210,
Which is for the storage.
which is for storage.
Yeah. Okay.
Is any other questions? Fire away. If not, we'll take a vote.
Okay. I don't
It
see
was
any hands raised.
Was this provided to us earlier?
He
Yes,
sent
it was sent out. It was sent out yesterday, the first day that I could get it.
Okay, I guess the question that I have for that is that ample time for us to actually see it? Review
Here's the problem. The issue is no MER is available until the 5th day of the month. That's the earliest that it is available to any NC. Our meetings are always the first Tuesday. So we don't have, short of postponing it for a month to approve it, we don't have any other options. So that's why you don't get it any earlier. As soon as I get it, you get it.
What would be the hardship on, let's say, not having or postponing it or voting no, we don't approve it? What happens?
Well, if we,
I'm curious to give us enough time.
no, I
for us
understand.
to
I
see it,
understand, and
because-
Alfredo, I understand your question, and I am more than willing to answer it. We're given only a certain amount of time to approve an MER. If we wait for another month to bring it up, and for some reason we don't have quorum, we fall out of compliance here. And, wherever possible, we don't want to do that. I don't want to fall out of compliance on anything, but sometimes we do. And we want to be very careful not to do that, not to leave ourselves in a position where we don't have to suffer an indignity when it happens. So that's the only answer I can give you.
All right, thank you, Brian. And actually, the more the issue, more is me not having enough time to review it, but we're just passing it so quickly under our vote right now that it's, we don't even have time to actually see it. That's
There's
maybe
only
we
one
should
item.
allow more time for us to see it. Maybe that would be the when we have that short period of time, because I'm not saying postpone it. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is give us a little bit of time.
But Alfredo, he's explained to you why the
Yes.
time.
No,
it's
no,
a
no,
tight
no,
time
no.
frame. Now,
No.
if we had the meeting last week, then this would have to be delayed.
No, Oscar, that's not what I'm saying. Give us more time for us to review this. You put it up on here and it says, okay, any questions? We haven't even got a chance to look at it. And let's vote on it. That's what I'm trying to say.
And that's okay. And to his point, he sent it yesterday, and maybe that's not enough time, but that was as soon as he got it. So we can postpone this if you'd like, Alfredo, because I know you're
Yes, no,
asking
that's
questions.
still the point being is, sorry, maybe I misunderstood on my question. We need a little bit more time, or we need to dissect what's in front of us. Give us more time in the present time, not necessarily complaining about the fact that we just got it like a day ago for everyone else to review it. If I'm the one who's actually questioning this, maybe I'm the only one who hasn't, and maybe everyone else saw it, but I would like to know what has transpired, what's in it. I know he said it's only one expense, the 210 that happened on here, you know, but it's a habit that has happened over time, and maybe I'm just questioning it today.
Oscar, let me go on and say, if we want to table this till later in the meeting and give people a chance to pull up their emails and review this and ask questions later, that's perfectly fine with me.
Okay.
The issue here, the issue with this, the issue with this MER is very simple. There is only one thing on this particular MER, and in other cases there are more. And I agree with Alfredo that everyone should have the right to ask questions. And when I send this out, I always make the statement that this is not to be discussed except at a public meeting.
Right.
So maybe that's one of the reasons why people don't have questions, because they're not really reviewing it. But I certainly am willing to provide all the time that anyone wants. I'm willing to answer any questions that you want answered. And I'll even do research on it if you feel that there's issues that you don't understand from the past. So this is not, it's not rocket science, and it's not trying to hide it. We have nothing to hide here. It is very open and straightforward, and we don't produce this MER. The city produces it. We simply ask for payments to be made, and those payments are recorded on this document. And this document is a issue that the city needs approved so that the board has agreed. And everything on this document is previously approved by the board.
And just so you know, I am a rocket scientist, and I wanted an explanation. There's no need for belittling that and making that comment in it that it's not rocket science. We just want.
I'm talking about the document itself. I'm not talking about anybody and anybody's concern or anybody's ability. Everybody has the right and the knowledge to review this at any level that you want.
All right.
Okay, so so let me, Ralph, you have your hand up.
Yes, it seems like every month we go through this. One of the solutions might be if we change our meeting date to the second Tuesday, we wouldn't have this problem. Now, it requires that we put that on the agenda and et cetera, but it's something we might want to think about.
That might be a solution. I mean, gives another week to review it. Okay, thank you, Ralph. Raheem, and then I'll come to you, Karen.
Alfredo, would you please define what is enough time to review the documents? He sent us the email yesterday. Is not that enough time?
We're supposed to discuss it in a public forum. This is the public forum that we're discussing it in. The discussion would be like, if there's anything to question in here for everybody else. I am not the only one. I'm questioning it, and I have the right to question it. I got a decent answer from Brian. Is it acceptable? Hey, you know, we just got to go with it. Luckily today we only have one item. What if you had 10 or 30 items on there?
So in that case, the discussion would have been prolonged for those many items. I mean, there was no rush to close the discussion. That's what you're objecting about, right?
I'm objecting on the fact that we don't. It's a very short period of time, and Brian agreed with me that getting it yesterday for us to review today is a very short period of time, as our agendas are supposed to be posted in a public place longer than that.
Oh, okay. You're talking about in public places, not just eating.
It's semantics at this point in time.
I'm going to move on. Karen?
Yes, when was the document received?
I pulled it down yesterday.
Okay, so is
when
it
is it available?
Okay, so should we then, and rather than, we shouldn't have to change a meeting for one document. So should we have this, to Alfredo's point, when, as is required, when Oscar posts the agenda on Saturday, this should be with it. So then it should be posted at the next meeting so that it is posted, just like with all the other documents that need, like the minutes and whatever other documents might be with the agenda that month, so that they're out on Saturday, and that gives the board from Saturday to Tuesday afternoon to review.
Okay, something to consider. Alvin?
I would have to agree with that. I mean, why not just post it when the minutes are posted and the agenda's posted? Plus, on a personal level, I mean, I'm already on a committee with the NCSA. I mean, I just can't really justify moving an undocumented.
It's dependent on availability, of course, right? So, all right, something to work towards. Sid?
Thank you. I was just going to make a comment. I don't like the crosstalk. I think everything should be going through you. That I think it should be a little more organized. It's an important issue, but people were just not asking permission to talk to you, just having a discussion. I would like a little more decorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Sid. Okay, so let's leave this on screen, and then Brian, to your point, we'll leave it here, and in the meantime, it can be reviewed. Let's move on to your next item, budget advocate report.
There is not anything to really report. The budget advocates are finalizing their meetings and moving forward. I can tell you that the budget advocates on the 14th are going to have a meeting with the mayor. That's a good move. We haven't had a meeting with the mayor for a while, and this is the first meeting with this mayor. And other than that, there's going to be a town hall. I don't have the particulars on it at the moment, but there's going to be a town hall by the budget advocates to address in detail the done budget. So I can forward to the board that information if you're interested in participating. So that's about it.
Sorry about that. Saying goodnight to my granddaughter. Okay, let's see. Sid, you had your hand up first.
Thank you. Brian, do you have any information about this meeting that the Tribunes are going to be having with the department?
I wasn't going to bring that up. The Tribunes themselves, no, but Josh Nidell, yes. I don't know if everybody's aware, but Josh Nidell is running for commissioner of Bonk. And there is quite an outrage on that because of his actions in the past. But anything to do with the Tribunes directly as a group, no, I really don't have any information on that.
Thank you.
All right, sorry, Alfredo, you got the floor.
I was looking at these, and I'm sorry, I think it didn't have anything to do with the budget advocates, but I know we still have the MER up there. Are we discussing that now, or?
Yeah, we can go back to that, yeah.
Okay. I only had a question for you because we have the adopted budget of 27,925. Was that just have to do with the whole office outreach and elections, or was that just for outreach? The way it looks on there almost looks like it's just for outreach.
The way NC funding set up this document is that is a combination of all three items.
Okay.
If you go back to the administrative packet that you all received when we voted on it, the number of 27,925 is included in that. It is a sum of those three categories.
So like right now, for example, under office, if we look across there, that 210 is this expenditure that we're looking at.
That is a ongoing expenditure. It's the expenditure for this period.
Right.
If I'll tell you what I will do for everybody, I will put together my analysis that I have done in the past so that everyone has that to look at on a regular basis. That will tell you what was spent in what month every month, and it will allow you to see what's left over in each of these categories. So I'll make sure that you all have that within the next week.
Alfredo?
The other question would be, or maybe it's just a comment. So the balance that we have on this account today is $31,799. I'm understanding that we have no outstanding bills, and we have 4 months left to spend $31,000.
Not quite. The report that I'm going to send you will identify anything that has previously been approved but not paid yet. So I will make sure that you get this. Everyone gets this. We don't have $31,799. That's what NC funding sees. But what we haven't been able to get into this report as outstanding is the street fair. The $3,500 has to come off of that $31,799.
So that's the only thing that we've got committed so far.
Well, no, we also have committed
Other round.
the shred event.
Right.
But we can't apply that. We can't ask for it to be paid until we get the bill, and the bill won't be available until we have the shred event. So as soon as the bill is available, and I've had problems in the past getting the bill, but the last time we got it right away. As soon as we get the bill, we can pay it, and I always pay that with a credit card.
So I think going back to Alfredo, or what you said, Brian, maybe another thing that could be presented with the MER to us, at least, not to the city, but another schedule that shows here's the balance, here's the future commitments, so that we can see what that running available balance.
That's what my analysis does.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Alfredo, you got your hand up, and then we're going to.
I think he just answered it, because I mean, if we got $31,000, but we already got committed, let's say 15,000, and we got an MPG that comes through, and we don't have the funds for it. I mean, we got to do our due diligence prior to accepting it if we don't have the funds. That's a good thing. Thank you.
Okay, so
one thing everyone should know, not that it makes any difference at this point, but if you haven't heard, the credit card Union Bank has become US Bank, and the credit card is no longer usable as of February 17th. There is a new credit card that is supposed to be received by all treasurers before that date. So should we have any payments that we need to make in the interim, which I can't imagine what they are at the moment, because I've paid everybody that I know of, and so we don't have an issue. But I wanted you to know that the credit card is being replaced, and there is a new credit card that we will be using as of February 17th.
Okay, thank you. Let's close this item. Let's get because we've got still quite a bit to go. So are we okay now to move forward and take a vote on this, or do we want to continue discussing it?
Let's ask it. Can we ask that differently? Is there anybody objecting to voting on this?
Yeah, because I don't think we need to do that, because it came from their committee.
Okay, Brian, go ahead and take
Okay, so voting on approving the MER. I'm a yes. Karen?
Yes.
Sid?
Yes.
Oscar?
Yes.
Raheem?
Yes.
Yes.
Alfredo? Jason?
Yes.
Alvin?
Yes.
Nathan?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It passes.
Unanimously, right?
Well, you should have one
No.
abstention, I think. is-
11 yes, 0 no, and 1 ineligible. And 1 absent.
Thank
Okay,
you.
all right. Let's see here, where are we? Okay. Okay, item I, planning and land use committee report. I don't think there was anything other than, Karen, thank you for sending out that email. Jason is now the chair of Plum. Congratulations, Jason, and Alvin is co-chair. So gentlemen, thank you so much for taking on those roles. So we much appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Item J, Emergency Preparedness Committee Report. There is none. Item K, Citywide Issues Committee Report. Sid, I know you submitted some things, but unfortunately it was a bit late for me to get on this agenda, so it will be on the next agenda.
Can I just make an announcement?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, one of the things on is has to do with Mono Lake, which city gets 136,000 acre feet a year from it. That's enough water for 200,000 people. And they want to cut off all the water to Los Angeles. And there's a meeting on February the 15th by the California Water Board, hearing the testimony from the Mono Lake conservators who want to restrict the water supply to Los Angeles because of seagull nesting in Mono Lake. And there's concern about that. I won't go into the details, but I can send out the link to the meeting if anybody wants to go to that meeting on the 15th. Thank you.
Okay, just send it to the board. Sid.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I
Looks like
sent it to you, so
looks like Merca just went through a change. FYI.
She went through a change.
She put on a tie.
Oh, okay, so let's see here, where are we? Alrighty, so moving on then to item L, Public Safety Committee Report. Nathan, you have the floor, and so before I'm going to, oh, Mr. John Lee is here. I see, so that's what.
Oh, America.
That's why Alfredo's like, oh.
You know,
has a tie.
you're too used to ignoring me, man.
Sorry, Alfredo. Okay, so John, before we move on to item L, Mr. Lee, Councilmember Lee is on the call. Let me unmute him. Okay, John, you have the floor. Welcome.
Well, I apologize for the dim lighting. The last event that I was at lasted a lot longer than I expected. A lot of people had a lot of different questions, but I told Merca that I had nothing tonight afterwards. I said, I haven't been to Granada Hills North in a long time. And so once she texted me, I went through my text and she said, I already told them you're coming. So I said, well, then I better pop on right now. I didn't want the meeting to end without me speaking to you guys. And just first of all, thank you guys. I appreciate, Mr. President, for you taking me out of order and taking me right away. As you guys know, Granada Hills is a special place for me. So, and I appreciate the relationship I have with so many of you working on so many different projects and things that affect our communities. I want to go over some important items that I know that you've been, discussing. I know that the bulkhead project has been something that we've been talking about. So I think we've shared the funding motion with you and its approval, and the bid was sent to the Board of Public Works. They hope to award the project by April 1st, and construction should follow thereafter. I know that's been a huge important issue in your community. So I have made sure that I am pushing that as fast as I can. One of the reasons why I can push that and put a little bit more heft behind it now is that I think some of you know, but I have been appointed the chair of the Public Works Committee. Now, the Public Works Committee, I'm very, very excited about this. It's a committee that I asked for. I'm very excited that we got it because it's a committee that I think will allow me to bring extra resources to our community. What I would like you to do is, so many of you know, the huge copper wire theft issues that we're experiencing throughout the district of CD12. We have actually been hit harder than any other district in the city of Los Angeles. I believe last year we had over 400 lights affected by this copper wire theft. And we are going to be looking at different ways to attack this problem. But for right now, if you can give just a top 5 list to Merca about which lights would be a priority. We are trying to see if I can get all the different priorities for all my different communities addressed, because I know that no one knows this area better than the neighborhood councils. So please, I wish I could drive every single street in my district every day. You guys are my eyes and ears. So if you could please provide that, that would be extremely helpful. I'm very excited about being on this committee, and especially as the chair. Let's see, sidewalk repair on the 16,000 block of Rinaldi, and I apologize, now I'm reading some notes. The trees that are causing the uplifting need to be removed, and urban forestry removes some trees, and the Conservation Corps will be producing a scope of work and a quote to address it even further. I know that you guys know this project very well. I was talking to Merca and Hannah Lee about it earlier. So that is on our hot list of things that we want to be able to ensure that we address as soon as possible. Let's see, Home Depot project. I know it's not necessarily in the purview of this neighborhood council, but obviously you live in Granada Hills and this is an important project. I'm going to say the same thing that I said to Granada Hills South last week, and that, you know, I know the community's position on Home Depot. You know, I knew it right away when I first saw it proposed. I want you to know that, you know, Home Depot and city planning, that I've let them know that I want a full environmental impact report. In my opinion, Home Depot will bring many negative impacts that can never be mitigated or corrected. And if we allow them to do business as usual. So years ago, I think you guys have all heard the story of Home Depot in Sunland, Tahunga. There was a big community fight over that. They were very lucky because at that time, they didn't really cite any planning reasons for that not to be allowed. Home Depot just found another site, moved to that location, and has been punishing the community by keeping that site just abandoned all these years later. Now, we obviously want to make sure that we ensure that, you know, this type of project address any needs, you know, from the community, but we need to be different than Sunland Tahunga. We need to, you know, read the Granada Hills community plan and write to city planning, and always CCing my office regarding issues that are planning issues of why it doesn't meet the criteria of our community, our community plan. So if you can please help me, I know Granada Hills South has already done that. I know we have some people as part of who understand some of the land use issues that affect us. If we can start as a neighborhood council to start looking through that along with me and my team to try to find real arguments and not just ones where, well, we don't want it. It can't be emotional arguments. They need to be factual arguments. And so I need your help in doing this. And I think that we're going to be fighting it together. I'm happy to take any, you know, questions from from the community, I'm not sorry, from the board, before I leave. But one part of good news is that, Reseda off-ramp, the phase 1 of it is coming to a close. The rains have pushed us back some time, but I know that we are going to be, and Mirka, please correct me if I'm wrong, hopefully be opening 1 lane in April. And by doing that, we'll hopefully relieve some of the, traffic that we've been experiencing on Tampa and Balboa. So that being said, happy to take any questions from the neighborhood councils, and
Okay,
thank
thank you,
you
John.
again
No,
for
thank you
having
for
me.
joining us, John. Thank you for all that update. So let me see. I do have Brian. Brian, you have the floor.
Hi, John.
Hey, Brian.
I don't want to air laundry, but one thing, I've been asked to communicate with you on a subject outside this community, but certainly pertinent to all communities within the city. So if you would please contact me, I'd appreciate that. And the other is, I have made numerous attempts to contact you and Josh. Guess what? I haven't heard from either of you. Could you please get back to me?
I will make sure that Josh calls you tomorrow. I was just with him tonight. He's a busy
Okay,
guy, Brian.
the other
I will-
issue, John, I do need to
I'm
talk to
sure
you
he's
directly.
doing his best to reach out to you and get back to you. You know the type of access you have to our office. So
And I don't take advantage of it. You know that, but I do need to talk to you.
I got it.
Thank you, Brian.
I've
Sid,
done on numerous amount of times, Brian. So
I know.
I will make sure we get in touch with you.
Thank you.
okay, Sid, you've got the
Yeah,
floor.
good evening, Councilman. Nice to see you. The question I have is about Balboa Boulevard by the golf course and the mall. That sidewalk is blocked. It's been blocked for over a year, I believe, maybe 2 years, and nothing seems to be done. And I can't understand why we're treating this part of Granada Hills as a third world country. We can't have a sidewalk open for people to walk on safely. They have to cross over Balboa. Children and strollers, all kinds of people are prohibited from using that sidewalk. And I guess it's a way of cutting down exercise in the valley, but is that ever going to be fixed, or is it going to just stay in disrepair?
Sure. I spoke about that at the top of my report. Let me look back at my notes. I'm hoping that the bid is going to be awarded and that by April 1st, like I said, as the new chair of Public Works Committee, that April 1st, they're going to actually, from the department, the latest is that they're going to actually be able to award the project and then hopefully get it started at that time.
I have the full report. I'll be happy to forward it to you, Sid.
Ralph, thank you, Sid. Ralph?
Yes, I have a question, a somewhat different subject. I've been active in the O'Melveny Park since it started with discussions with Councilman Wilkinson. But several years ago, we had a fire there and we lost several buildings. And I know that the city is self-insured, but when are we going to have, or are we planning to have those buildings rebuilt?
Are we gonna, Ralph, I'm sorry, we're gonna have what built?
Well, we had a bunkhouse that was used for meetings. We had the home there for a person to monitor the park.
Right, the caretaker's home, right?
And the city is self-insured, so, if a private company had that, the city would be down on them to get it rebuilt. Why doesn't the city step up to the mark and rebuild the things that burned?
Hey, Mirka, do you have any information on the caretaker's residence at the site of O'Melveny?
I do not at the moment. I think this is the point of discussion in the past, and I will follow up on that.
Thank you for, reminding us. I know about the caretaker facility. I know how we lost it in the last fire. And let us take a look into it, Ralph. I know it's important for the community. That's, O'Melveny is the second largest park in the city of Los Angeles. Our little best kept secret in Council District 12. So I will have Merck and I will look into it, and we'll get back to you before your next meeting. Let you know any update that we might have.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course, Ralph.
Karen Waters, I've got three more, John, and then.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Councilman.
Hi, Karen. Hey, Karen.
I read your council motions, and I want to say thank you very much for also both of the motions you authored for the motorhomes, because there was 2 of them, and I forwarded them to our public safety. But thank you so much. That's been a tough one for us.
I appreciate the kind words, Karen.
Thank you, Karen. Alvin?
Hi, John. Nice to see you again. I guess one question that I wanted to piggyback on was the thing about the lights, where you wanted us to report back to you if we see some lights down due to copper wire theft. I guess my question is, how are we as individuals supposed to be able to conclude that? Like, I guess for me, how would I know that the light was out due to copper wire theft?
Well, no, what I want you to do is, look, the city, it used to be we'd be able to respond to a light that was down in maybe 1 or 2 weeks. That has now been pushed out to 6 or 7 months because of the incredible rash of crimes that have been happening throughout the city of Los Angeles. It just happens that my district is hit harder than any other district. So what I want you to do is, it doesn't have to be from copper wire theft. I'm pretty confident that if there are a string of lights out, that it's due to copper wire theft.
Okay.
So just as a neighborhood council, if you could just prioritize for safety reasons, like a top 3, so I can just really try to, jump on those as a priority of being the new chair of Public Works Committee.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Anyone else, Oscar?
You are muted, sir. Everyone is muted.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry, John. So I've got 2 more, and then we will go from there. So Mr. Wally, did you have a question for Mr. Lee? I saw your hand up.
Hey,
Right,
Oscar, everyone else is muted. Looks like the whole board is practically muted.
Yeah, I think you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I actually put my hand up for the next agenda item, and I was pleasantly surprised by John Lee coming in. So I just would like to say thank you to Council Member Lee for all the hard work he's put in for our community, and looking forward to meeting with him in the future.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you for your kind words. That means a lot.
Okay, one more on the call. Is that Joni Diamond? Please unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity. And John Lee, I appreciate you so much. And I am willing to be one of your volunteers on the issue discussed, that I put in a report in June of 2019, almost 5 years ago, and 4 years ago, whatever. And it's still pending to get my sidewalk repaired, the tree trimmed, on, and other issues, and they're all pending. I cannot get this rectified. I've spoken with a member of your office, and she cannot get it rectified. Why is it still pending after all these years? And what can we do to rectify it? I've fallen so many
I will
times
look
on the
into it.
sidewalk and ended up in ER because I cracked my head open and was
Oh.
bleeding on my sidewalk. This has to be fixed. This is a danger.
Well, Joni, please, I'm sure we have it on record of which, the location and the address and the trees. I'm sure we have it all on file. I apologize that I don't know about it offhand. Let me look into it and I will, Mirka, if you can ask to please put Joni on my call list tomorrow so I can give her a personal update on where we are with that and, you know, where we can move with that.
Will do.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all you do. And once again, I support you. My hat's off to you, and I'm ready to be one of your volunteers if my head doesn't crack open again on my sidewalk.
Well, I hope not. I'm sorry to hear that. And, but before I leave, just want to say thank you guys. I hope you guys know how much I appreciate the work that you guys do. Hopefully I'm, you know, proving myself. I promised you guys that I would be an accessible councilman, someone that you didn't have to go through several layers to get to. If you ever want to discuss issues, you know, just let my office know that you're a neighborhood council member. You guys put in the time to help our community. I should always be there to listen to you. So, you know, thank you again for all the amazing partnership we've had. I was happy to, you know, sponsor the Granada Hill Street Fair and all the different events that, you know, highlight the incredible community that Granada Hills is. And so, as you know, I've gone to 2 schools there. So Frost and Granada. So I'm a local boy. So I appreciate your work and I look forward to doing more great things to help the Granada Hills community. So thank you, everybody, and have a good night.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
John.
Oscar.
Okay, thank
Bye,
you.
John.
Have a good evening, John. Thank you. Okay. All right, let's move on then to item L. So on this one, Karen, I am going to make you host. I need to recuse myself, and I'm going to recuse myself because I did get notified clarification from the city attorney's office. I need to recuse myself because the location on this particular document, that location is called GYRAC, Granada Hills Youth Rec Center. I am the president that resides over the board of that organization. I am also executive member of AYSO, one of the 2 youth sports that participates in that facility. The other is the North Valley Youth Baseball Program. So because of my involvement with both those organizations, I have been asked to recuse myself. So with that said, Karen, I am going to give you host so that you can run this meeting. I am going to excuse myself.
Okay.
And then if someone can text me when this is done, I'm going to exit my office.
Okay, we'll see you in a bit, Oscar. Okay, Mr. Nathan Lee, please proceed.
All right, thank you, Ms. Karen Waters. Would you mind sharing screen? Could you post item L1, the draft letter for everyone, Karen?
I don't have the draft letter, actually.
I know Oscar had circulated it back on, I think, last Friday, February 3rd.
Oh, okay.
But I'll start talking in the meantime. How about that?
Sure.
So the draft letter that we're discussing today is
guys. Sorry, it's me. I just overheard that. I think I can still share that letter, and then you still have host, right, Karen?
Okay.
Let me see if I can share that letter so that you guys. Oh no. If I do that, it's going to disable you as a host. So sorry.
Okay, I'll see if I can pull. I wasn't prepared to share it, but I'll go. Please proceed.
Okay, so let me.
Sure. So item L1 pertains to a draft letter to the Department of Transportation and the operators of the AYSO Region 174 facility, which is LADWP, AYSO, and MWD, to request that they coordinate with the organizers of AYSO soccer This has to do with traffic concerns and concerns regarding traffic collisions on Balboa Boulevard in between Woodley and Orozco. And the amount of traffic that Balboa Boulevard entails, as well as the traffic that's egressing and ingressing out of the AYSO Region 174 facility. And the Public Safety Committee discussed potential ideas to try to improve traffic safety in that Balboa Boulevard corridor between Orozco and Woodley. And some of the ideas that they came up with were to either possibly have a traffic signal installed, possibly have additional traffic officers placed, or possibly rerouting traffic along the facility perimeter to utilize the existing traffic signal at Orozco. So these are some ideas that the Public Safety Committee were discussing, and we put together a one-page draft letter, which we would like to send to AYSO, DWP, and the Metropolitan Water District, as well as the AYSO Region 174 facility, just to see if a discussion can be had and to see what possibly could be done to help with the traffic flow and to help avoid traffic collisions and improve public safety up and down Balboa Boulevard between Orozco and Woodley. So with that, I'll turn it over for discussion.
All right, okay, I have the letter.
I want to raise my hand, sorry.
All right, just a minute, I'm coming back to you all. Okay. Okay. All right, first caller, I'm sorry, Mr. Waters, you had a question? Please unmute yourself, Alvin.
No, I just wanted to make a quick comment that I'm definitely in understanding of the push for more traffic control, just because the other day I was actually driving from O'Melveny, and I noticed as you drive through there, if you're not paying attention, it is really easy for a collision to happen. Sometimes those left turns out of that facility do kind of catch you off guard. So I'm definitely in support of it.
Thank you, Alvin. Sid?
Thank you. This question, I think your letter is a good idea, but have you invited them to a meeting of the Public Safety Committee to come discuss this? I don't think you need board approval for that.
Yeah, I don't believe they have been invited to my knowledge. Yeah.
No, I think a letter's nice, but sometimes you don't have to wait to get a form. You can, it's a major problem and they're there. Anyway, thank you. Good work. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, all right, and Mr. Wade?
I believe you're asking for me. My name's John Wowie.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, I'm a 22-year volunteer with North Valley AYSO Region 174. I'm also a 15-year volunteer with GHNNC, the organization that Oscar explained before he left the meeting. This is the organization that oversees the facility with AYSO soccer and North Valley youth baseball. Okay, so first of all, what I'd like to say is we really appreciate Neighborhood Council's help on this. This is something we've actually been trying to improve for the 15 years I've been with GHNNC. So it's your help with this is really appreciated. But like Mr. Gold said, it would be great if we could be involved in the discussions, because the problem is much wider than just our people coming in and out of the facility. The biggest problem is with speed on Balboa. That's the biggest problem because majority of these accidents are taking place when our facility is closed. Also, the two deaths the two deadly accidents that I've known of happened overnight. So it's much more than just people coming in and out of our facility. It's really about the speed on Balboa Boulevard and what we can do to get people to slow down. It really, we have a volunteer that's a LAPD officer, and he made some suggestions. He said that we really need to start with the traffic study, and the traffic study comes, or at least is started by the council member's office. So maybe America can help us with that, and get the traffic study done. The other issue, if I'm looking at your letter here, the traffic signal we asked for a long time ago. We were told by Department of Transportation that it's not doable because of the curve. Okay. Again, talking to our LAPD officer that's a volunteer at our region, he said that's not necessarily a problem. So he did say that a signal would cost around $1 million to put in. That's what traffic signals cost these days. But that is a possibility.
Well, thank you,
hiring-
Mr. Wawi, I beg your pardon. Mr. Nathan has a public safety meeting, which we encourage you to attend. And maybe at a later date, they can put together a meeting to discuss these matters further.
That would be fantastic. I'd really enjoy attending that.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, the cost, that is what I heard as well on that cost, by the way. So you are 100% correct on that. Thank you so much for your participation this evening. Mr. Lieb, please speak. Mr. Lieb, please dial *6 to unmute yourself.
Nathan Lee or John?
No, Mr. Lieb, L-I-E-B.
He's in the attendee list.
Oh, William.
Yeah.
William Lee. Okay.
That's right.
I believe you can unmute them. Can't you do that?
I did.
I've been trying to unmute myself. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can hear you. Please proceed.
Okay, good. I wanted to let you know that I know the letter was drafted from AYSO, but we thought it would be more appropriate for the letter to come from Granada Hills Youth Recreation Center, Inc., the company that oversees that sports complex on Balboa Boulevard. I don't know how many of you know that of the existence and location of that center or how it's set up, but the Granada Hills Youth Recreation Center, Inc., or GHNNC as we refer to it, is actually an entity that's been around since 1963. Its stated purpose in the articles that were amended and restated in 1998 is to promote and foster good citizenship and healthful recreation for youth. We have a tremendous number of kids that play in that particular complex, both in AYSO Region 174 soccer and in North Valley Youth Baseball. And as you can well imagine, with over 1,000 kids in our fall program playing soccer and many kids in baseball as well, we have thousands of people at times coming and going from that entrance to our soccer fields. As John Wowie so eloquently just put it, the biggest problem we have is speed along that area, more often than not at non-peak times, but also at times when we do have people coming and going from that complex. And one of the problems is the entrance to our facility is on a downhill curve. People coming up Balboa from Rinaldi go through two curves, one before Woodley and one just after Woodley, and really cannot even see vehicles exiting our area until they're almost upon them. If traffic were going 35 miles an hour along that street, it wouldn't matter. There'd be plenty of time for cars that are coming out of that facility to be seen. but cars do not travel 35 miles an hour along Balboa Boulevard. They routinely travel anywhere from 45 to 75 miles an hour along Balboa Boulevard. And when you're exiting and a car is going at an excessive rate of speed, it's very dangerous to exit that facility.
And you are correct. Thank you very much for your comment and attending our meeting this evening. And we encourage you to also join our public safety committee meeting to as we continue this conversation, hopefully for a good solution for everyone's safety. Thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
that, and I will. Thank you very much.
Welcome. And Mr. Aaron Devondry. Hello, Aaron.
You hear me?
We can. Hello, Aaron.
All right. Well, hello, Granada Hills North Neighborhood Council. It's always fun to talk to you, and I appreciate getting the chance to be here tonight to talk. I also want to say hello to John Walwy. It's been a while since I've seen you around. We used to work together for, gosh, a decade ago when you were in CD12, but I really appreciate what you had said earlier, so thank you for that. I'm here basically because some of you know this. My parents, my dad especially, he was the commissioner of GHNNC and the AYSO 174 soccer region when I was about 10 years old. So, you know, in fear of dating myself, probably about 30 years ago. And at the time, the fields were almost lost because of the need for the water filtration plant to take over where the fields were. So I remember my family, my parents were part of moving those fields further away from the road, more towards a different section of that. At the time, they had an exit at Orozco where there was a light. And then when they moved the fields, the light was not available anymore because they created a new entrance and exit for people to use. So reading the letter, I actually appreciated the idea of rerouting traffic to the light in Orozco. I think that would help save a lot of these problems. And I don't know if that's a possible option here, but it's something I would really highly consider looking at if there's a way to do that. I talked to my dad about this when I saw this on the agenda, and he reminded me that he had spoken with Councilmember Greg Smith about it, and I don't know if this was Greg Smith's first time in office or the second time when he was temporary there, but he was basically promised by Greg Smith that he would get it fixed, and for reasons that we can't control, it did not happen. But I really appreciate that this is being taken up again by Nathan in the Public Safety Committee. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your joining us, Aaron, and thank you for all your hard work for us as well.
My pleasure.
And, Mr. Robert, please unmute yourself. Please speak.
Good evening. I've been involved with AYSO for practically 30 years since my daughter started playing when she was 5. She's 36 now. And this has been an ongoing problem we've been trying to address with them. And the big problem is people speeding. I'm going to reiterate what's been said before. People speeding on Balboa, oftentimes at hours when we're not there. There'll be accidents in the morning when we're not there. There'll be accidents at night when we're not there. And to assign this, sort of that it's somehow our problem that we have to find, is a bit. We'd like to be involved in the solution because we want a solution as well. And I would hate to be the traffic officer. That sounds to me like a death sentence, to try to control traffic on Balboa at any hour of the day or night. If you're going to try to stop these cars that are running down here at 70 plus miles an hour, that sounds like a really hazardous assignment. And I don't know what MW would even allow for us to go back to using the other entrance, which hasn't been available to us in decades. And, we've tried working through the various councils over the decades, and they don't seem to have a viable solution. And we'd be interested in any help that you can give us, that we can do to try to fashion a solution, because, our volunteers and our parents, we don't want them hurt either. And, we're looking for a way to help as well, but I'm not sure that any of the suggestions that they're going to come up with that's going to solve the problem, short of finding a way to slow people down. Because if we can't get them to slow down, nothing's going to fix this problem. Thank you for hearing me.
Excellent point, Robert. Thank you very much. Brian? Brian?
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I was muted. I have to tell you, I am one of the closest neighbors to that facility. And I can tell you that the issue of traffic speed on Balboa is an enormous issue. There is very little way of slowing that traffic down at this point. Nobody's been able to come up with a good answer. The curve has taken out more lives since I've lived here than I can count. There are accidents every week on Balboa between Woodley and that facility. There has to be a solution. I think the solution that we have here of number 3 needs to be impressed on everyone from CD12 right on up to the mayor, because this is a serious problem. It's a traffic highway, and 70 miles an hour is slow in some instances. I can't tell you how many times I have seen people driving recklessly at 70, 80 miles an hour. So it is definitely an issue that we have to deal with, and we have to escalate this as best we can. And I believe that we could get other councils involved in this as well, because the traffic that comes in and out, up and down Balboa, are going into other communities as well. And we need to somehow impress on the city that this is more important than anything else they can do in the North Valley at this time. So just wanted to put my 2 cents in on this.
Thank you, Brian. And I actually share the concerns with the community. I hike at El Melvini quite frequently, and we post our agendas at Bee Canyon Park. And I've lost track of how many times I have been almost taken out by someone doing probably about 90 on Balboa going south as well as north. So one proposed suggestion I had, Nathan, to add to this letter would be a request for Council Member Lee, the Department of Transportation partnered with Council Member Lee's office to have traffic officers posted on each side of those curves and start ticketing people and pulling people over. Because as people start seeing that happen, even if we have to have some funds transferred especially for this, that way, when they, I forgot I don't know what a speeding ticket costs, but with the economy as it is, that might get everyone's attention and save some lives. So that's just my little 2 cents. Robert, did you have something else to add?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Just want to make sure I have everyone. Okay. All right. Very good. So we're going to close comment on this then. And Brian, did you have another comment? Your hands is up.
Unfortunately, I have one little thing. I would ask that we consider taking out in the very last sentence, take out the word be, the third word in the sentence, and the word the. Oh, no, I'm sorry, the word to. Both words
no.
on either side of welcome, and it would read a little clearer.
I see that. Yeah, we would welcome the opportunity. I see that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
All right. Well, with we have heard, we're closing the comment on this. So do we have any board members opposed to this letter? Okay, seeing that there are none, this passes unanimously, all board members present. Thank you very much. And I will text Oscar to rejoin us.
All right. Thank you, Karen. And thank you everyone for your comments.
Thank you, Nathan. Excellent work.
Thank you.
Okay, we will wait for our Mr. President to join us. Hello, Alfredo. Did you have a question for us or?
I just had a question. If the study has been done, the accidents happening to people coming out of the fields or going into the fields? And the reason why I'm asking that question is because I've entered that field for 5 of my kids that went through there. So we had quite a few years that we were going through those fields for the soccer fields. And there's an area or maybe we can cause an entrance right at the corner of Woodley and Balboa, that maybe that could be an entrance. So that way traffic, as a traffic light being there, would allow a little bit maybe easier access, because there's a lane that ends right at Woodley and Balboa. So I'm curious how that would affect, if anybody has done any real studies as to how the accidents are happening, if it's to people coming out of the fields or going into the fields.
Well, I think that I believe that is Officer, I sometimes I get it confused, either Officer Parker or Officer Sellers. They have that information. I think it's Officer Sellers. So we can ask him if he has that information. He's provided that to us in the past when vetting some plum projects. So that's a good point. So there's some information. And then Mirka, if you could please ask Lorena about the traffic study and how we should proceed with that. Thank you. Okay, and excuse me, I'm going to call Mr. President.
Hello. I'm here.
Okay, there you are.
Thank you. So it took me, I put my glasses down somewhere outside. I'm like, what did I do with my glasses? So sorry.
Welcome back.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for running that part. And you have some hands up. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Well, we closed the discussion on that item. I think Alfredo, did you mean to still have your hand up?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I just asked about the study of.
Right.
I addressed. That's been addressed.
Okay.
Wade, were you waiting for a new question, or is this?
No, it was because of Alfredo's comment, and I just wanted to pass this along to you. The corner of Balboa and Woodley, as you're heading north on the right-hand side, the gentleman that has built that rock and wrought iron fence is illegally encroaching upon city property. If you have a look and look at the city plans, you will see that it is part of Balboa Boulevard, because the road used to take a different turn at one time, and it's actually part of city property. And the guy that built that is actually encroaching upon city property. Matter of fact, he's storing vehicles in there now. So I'm just saying, I'm making that comment because Alfredo mentioned about there was a possibility of putting in another driveway into the thing that, I'm just saying. So I'm just passing that along to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Wade. Let's see. Brian, do you have your hand up? Yes, sir.
Yes, I have one. I want to follow up on both Alfredo's and Wade's comment. I have already turned in that person because he's running an illegal business, number one, and Wade's right. He's also infringing on property that's not his. But there is also a easement there for cell tower, and that has to be taken into consideration as well. And to answer your question, a partial answer to your question, Alfredo, the fact is most of the accidents are caused because of excessive speed going around that curve. People have died, many people have died going around that curve because of excessive speed. You cannot tell, as you're crowning at Woodley, you cannot tell that your speed and that curve don't match up. So that'll come out in any study, but that is what's happened, and I've seen it for 30 years.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. So then let's move on. So I should have just let you keep the host. Carol, you're next.
Well, I see that Gibson left us, actually. He was supposed to be here for the elections portion. But anyway, So starting with number one, item, the Outreach and Publicity Committee met, and thank you to them for their time. They're so busy and traveling and everything, and they make time to meet. So I appreciate their participation very much. So starting with number one, discussion and motion for outreach events funding transparency. Payments and supporting funding documentation must be submitted to the city clerk within 72 hours of GHNNC board approval. Any outstanding funding items must be disclosed for full transparency. In the event of GHNNC treasurer conflict of interest with any principal of an organization requesting an NPG where communication is not possible due to said conflict, GHNNC financial officer will communicate with the principal of the organization to assure accurate vetting of the NPG. This is necessary to maintain the credibility of GHNNC with its community and partners, and additionally our reputation as well. So this is something that was very important to the committee. We've had some calls about payments. We discussed this a little bit earlier, so I won't drag it out too much, but it's very, very important for our credibility and in our community to make sure that we have everything paid on time. And if there's anything outstanding for whatever reason, that we have a full transparency of what's outstanding, so we are not, blindsided by calls and emails from the community. And again, I thank the committee for their time, and open for any questions from the public or the board. I can't see. Brian. Hello?
Unfortunately, the 72-hour rule will be very, very difficult to enforce because many times, such as the shred event, we've approved that more than 72 hours ago. We cannot pay that until we have an invoice. Many of the situations will be that way, and we need to be careful not to put arbitrary limits on actions, but to make the statements that need something like must be paid as soon as reasonably possible.
And what does that mean exactly? And time frame, what does that mean?
Well, there is no, I mean, in some cases, we can set a time frame of 72 hours and say, yes, that can be done. In other cases, we can't. So a blanket statement of 72 hours on an event to be paid after approval is not necessarily possible, because let's say it's not an event. Let's say it is the purchase of tchotchkes for the event. Someone has to go out and get the bids. Somebody has to get them approved, and then we have to get the goods shipped to us, and the invoice cannot be received until after the goods have been shipped or received. So we have to be careful what kind of absolute limits we put on anything. And I think we have to I mean, I have no problem with the concept. I just have a problem with an arbitrary statement that cannot be necessarily enforced. That's all.
Okay, so, and what would you say would be, I mean, based on all that we've worked on these items, so 30 days prior to 45 days is according to what the city clerk told me. Is that anything beyond that is a problem?
Okay, 45 days. I don't think 45 days is a reasonable period. I think as soon as possible, meaning within 30 days or within 72 hours of receiving an invoice. I'll buy that. That's not a problem.
Okay, so
but
within
we
30
have to
days?
be a little careful here.
Okay, so within 30 days, do you think that's fair? Think that's
Within
reasonable?
30 days or 72 hours of invoicing, that's fine.
Okay, so we will make a motion we'll amend this to, what was it, 30 days, and what was the other one?
Or 72 hours of invoicing, of receiving an invoice. Once we receive an invoice, we should be able to pay it.
Okay. All right, any other questions on this item? Okay, so we'll first discussion on the motion to amend the motion to 30 days or 72 hours of invoicing. Any opposed? Okay, all right. So we're okay with that. And all in favor of payments within 30 days or 72 hours of invoicing? Any opposed? Okay, unanimous? Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Voting on that.
Well, oh,
Wait, you didn't ask for abstentions. I don't know.
well, Ralph's not eligible because of the funding, and this isn't really a funding, well, but anyway.
This,
No, it really isn't.
this is a policy, not a funding issue.
Also not a funding issue, yeah.
Right.
Thank you. The next is, okay, so discussion and sign up for the free document shredding event on Saturday, February 18th, 2023 at St. Euphrasia parking lot. So what I'd like to do is just a roll call, quick call, and ask what time, if the board could please participate. This is a fun event. Let's see, Michael is not here. So, but for the remaining board members, if you could please advise a time that you would be available to participate. The event is from 9 to 12. And it's also the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment is going to be doing NC election outreach for us. They will, be speaking with encouraging stakeholders to vote while we are assisting the public. And so it's a great opportunity for us. So I will start with Mr. President.
You're putting me on the spot. I should be last, actually. No kidding. So it's 9, which means we actually it's 9. So setup is probably starting at 8, right?
Okay.
And Brian is so good, always carrying everything. So usually he's the only one that. No kidding. Why don't you put me from 8 to say 10?
Okay. Thank you. Okay. And I'll be 9 to 10 for me. Mr. Allen, Brian.
Oh, I can't make it.
Very funny.
That's the joke.
All right. And what time shall I put you for? 8 to noon?
You want to
8 to question mark.
You want to come with me when I pick up the merchandise?
I don't think my doctor will allow that because of my.
Not to worry, I will be there at 8.
Thank you. Okay.
I can help you with that, Brian, if needed.
Mr. Castillo.
I may pick it up the day before.
What hours do you need me to be there?
All day.
Well, the
I did
event
say
is from 9
hours.
to 12, 9 to 12. So somewhere between that.
I could be there. I could be there early in the morning. I can help set up. I mean,
Okay.
does that mean that we're setting up at 8 or 9?
8 to 10 because the cars start lining up actually before we're ready.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll help set up. I'll be there at 8.
Okay. Thank you. Graham Zach.
I'll be there around 10.
Okay. You. Sid Gold.
What kind of job can I do? I'm not very mobile. Is there a sedentary?
I believe you said at the last meeting you would be handing out or speak. You would be liaising.
Keeping track.
He's going to be counting how many people
sit
show
on.
up.
I can do that. I'll be there.
He's going to
Okay.
show up to count people.
Thank you, Sid. Okay. What time should I put you down for, Sid?
For 9 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thomas is not here. Raheem.
Conflict of timing. I will be at a tax preparation clinic we offer. So, and then the timing is the same, 9 to 12. So unfortunately, I'll have to pass.
Okay. Well, you've attended every single event. So thank you, Raheem.
Sorry
And,
about that. Yeah.
Ralph Quarry.
Hello? I could probably be there about between 9 and 10 or something like that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And Nathan Lee.
Karen, you can put me down for 8 to 10.
Okay. Thank you. Jason Lester.
8 to 10 would be preferred for me, please.
Okay, yes, sir. Robert Moore.
I unfortunately will be out of town that weekend.
Okay, and Alvin Waters.
I guess 9 to 10, but do we still need somebody till 12?
We have, yeah, I was gonna ask, do we have
Oh, that's
coverage?
right. We have a
between
lot
10
of
and
10
12?
o'clock here, so
Yeah.
I could stay till 12, but you know, some of that stuff needs.
Karen, put me down for 10 to 12.
Okay,
I'll do 9. I guess I could do 9 to 12.
okay. 9 to 12. Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, next item is, okay, discussion and possible motion of suggestions for neighborhood council reforms. This is suggestions for, to the, it used to be the Arts, Parks, Health, Education, and Neighborhoods Committee. It is now known as the Neighborhood Enrichment Committee, and is now chaired by newly elected council member Eunices Hernandez. So if you have any suggestions or questions, you don't necessarily have to, you know, bring them today, but if you could please email them so that we can present those. So anything at all that you have on your mind about the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, Neighborhood Councils. So this is your voice. And then
Karen, point of order, are you skipping 3?
oh, I beg your pardon. I'm sorry. I'm too fast for my own good. Okay, so on the discussion regarding the GHNNC in-person committee meeting locations, our St. Euphrasia Auditorium has been approved by the ADA, the people handling the ADA compliance for the neighborhood council, so that is cleared. We do not have a specific committee meeting location. So Outreach and Publicity Committee did, we suggested that each committee do what is best for them. For Outreach and Publicity, we personally will use Starbucks. It's a great location, and everyone can have coffee while they have a meeting. But there are several options available to you, but the easiest ones for us would be either Starbucks or Subway, depending on when your meeting is. And once we have more clarity on the city council, the actions that have been put forth about meeting in person, a little bit more about the hybrid, we'll be able to determine if do we need to have a contract with the school or not. Oscar and I went through quite a nightmare getting a school secured before, so just please consider that for your committee meetings and let us know if you have any questions on that. Does anybody have any questions?
Can you mute the
Miss
the people that's on call?
For having a hell of a year, and just to go out here.
Oh, Oscar, I think you have the muting capability. Oscar, Mr. Wawi, could you
Yeah,
please
hold
mute
on.
yourself?
Where's that coming from?
Mr. Wawi. Oh, thank you. Okay,
There we
thank
go.
you.
Thank you.
All right, so so that's it for the in-person meetings. We have that, and then we are on to item 5 is the update of we received a quotation from the country club, Noble Country Club, that's within our voting. It's under $5,000. We are waiting for a quote from the Odyssey, and then we will Outreach will bring this back to the board for a vote. And this is for our 20th anniversary celebration, which we are estimating will be in September of 2023. And number 6, discussion and review of proposed NC election outreach locations. So these would be places for us to set up for additional election outreach, inviting people to join the board and to vote and to join the board. So if anyone is interested in doing that, we can. It's a suggestion, it's not a requirement, but other neighborhood council do this as well. So if you are interested, we can discuss it further, but it's not a requirement. The department is providing a great deal of assistance, as you heard earlier. And Ralph, yes?
Well, in the past, I suggested no, our church, because it has facilities for the workers if they have to use the restrooms, but the
Okay.
other places you suggested don't have facilities for the workers.
Okay, so point of order, Ralph, this is not about, the location has already been decided. This is about for election outreach for neighborhood council elections. We've already discussed that, and, you know, it isn't a requirement, and we've been through that.
But this says, suggestions.
Outreach.
Pardon?
So the elections are coming up, and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment actually advised that they would, at our cost, we could have bus bench advertising and banners and so forth. So, but these are things at our cost. So we will decide on that. Our election is June 10th, so we have some time to discuss this, but we just want to put it out for you all to think about locations, and then we can vote on it at a later date. And then lastly, pertaining to the candidate filing period opens February 10th. And you all, I emailed all of you, please let me know if you would like me to resend the email about the candidate registration. They do have telephone assistance for those who may need some additional assistance. We'll be happy to, they'll be happy to help you with that as well. And if you need assistance, so they will help you online or on the phone if you wish. Our candidate registration period is from February 10th until March 28th. You do need a current photo, your driver's license or passport. If you own a home, preferably your property tax statement is good. And if you rent, utility bills are like a gas bill or electric bill. Those are the usual items they will accept. But all that information was in the email, so please let me know if you have any other questions. I had hoped that Gibson would stay on the call and the election manager would be here, but you know, they are not here. And so then a little bit of fun information. We do have this month is Black History Month, and you know, it's quite an honor to be here. Years ago, this wouldn't have been possible for me. And also in May, Andrea Bocelli will be in concert at the Hollywood Bowl. And in June, the Mariachi USA Festival will be also at the Hollywood Bowl. These are two spectacular events that I've attended in the past, and encourage you, if you want to navigate Beverly Hills.
Thank you.
Granada Hills, please consider these events, and I'll send out a list of all the events for the month. Any questions? Ralph, do you still have your hand up, or is a new question?
Well, I said my comment before, so.
Okay. All right, thank you. Well, with that, that is it, and take it away, Oscar.
Karen?
Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. Your hand color is.
That's okay. It's hard to see. I know that. I just wanted to confirm something. On number 5, a 20th anniversary celebration, that would be a public meeting, right?
Correct. Yes, it would.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay. Okay, Oscar, it's all yours.
Right, excellent. Thank you. Getting to the end here. So, see, someone in attending has her hand up. Joni.
Yes, thank you for all you do. And can you please put the accurate webinar ID on your website, because it was not. I had to contact somebody outside. I could not connect through telephone or Zoom. You have inaccurate information, and ditto on your website. When I tried to email any of you, it did not go through. Inaccurate. Thank you for your time and all you do.
Thank you, Joni. We'll look into that, but yeah, the web ID has been the same for this meeting since we've been on Zoom, but I'll take a look at it and see if maybe there's.
Oh, thank you, but
Sure.
the one on tonight's meeting was inaccurate.
Okay. Like I said, I'll take a look at it, but it's been the same one that I've used, but we'll look into it.
Thank you for all
Johnny.
you. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Have a good evening. Appreciate it.
You too.
Okay, so then let's move on to West Valley Neighborhood Alliance on Homelessness Representative Report. Graham?
Yeah, I emailed the board earlier today with the agenda from the last meeting with some information links and directives and things from the new mayor. If anyone has any questions, they can reply. Other than that, there's no update.
Thank you, sir. Sustainability Alliance report.
Yeah, that's me, Oscar. The only update that we really have is our main focus has been on Council File 230039, which is regarding the scattergood plant.
Okay, mommy's here.
So the latest is this almost went to vote at the council, but it looks like they made a motion to, it looks like they've tabled it, and they're one of the highlights is that in the frontline communities, the concerns are that it burns 6 times more nitrous oxide. But when I was on the LADWP MOU meeting, I was told that there was actually a study to debunk that. So I actually made a request for that study and I've yet to find it. So I will have to find it myself. The second thing, not really an update, but in light of our preliminary discussion on the increase of the gas bills, that it's giving me an idea to recommend to the NCSA board to basically push advocacy for this investigation.
Very cool. No, that'll be good. Thank you, Alvin. Graham, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that last thing about the gas bills. I did speak with someone at SoCal Gas that spoke on I think it's a Utilities Commission or Public Utilities Commission.
California Public Utilities Commission.
Yeah, and that they were having issues with the pipelines from Texas. And it was some technicality malfunction thing, and that they were trying to get on it, and that there was proposed potential rebates for customers in the future or whatever. But I just, want to let you guys know that just that information they told me was that it was due to some issues with the pipelines from Texas.
Great, thank you for that, Graham. I welcome rebates. Sid?
Yeah, just a little more clarification on the gas price increase. It's the way they buy gas and purchase gas. You can buy gas futures or you can buy the spot price. And Southern California Gas was buying gas at the spot price. So back in August or whatever, it was very cheap. Came December and January, a couple of things happened. There was a pipeline from Canada that broke. There's a pipeline from Texas broke, and they were stuck at the spot price, which had gone up 8 times from August. On the other hand, DWP bought their gas on futures, so that's why our electric rates didn't go up a lot, because they had bought gas in August and paid the August price rather than the January price for their gas. So so there's a lot of technicalities, and how the price of gas on the East Coast is still the same as it was last year. the problems on the West Coast. There was, as Graham mentioned, the Texas line, but there was also a Canadian line. There was a couple of refineries also closed, and then there was a bad, not a very healthy way in how they purchased the gas. So that's my understanding. Thank you.
Thank you,
And-
Sidney.
And one other thing, the PUC had a meeting today. I don't know the results, but they had a discussion about the gas rates. And there, Gray mentioned some sort of rebate. I don't know the details of that.
Okay, well, hopefully we get something. All right, small business. Brian,
Sorry, there's nothing to report.
thank you, sir.
Before we go
Ralph?
further, sir, we had a point of order on the postponement on the minutes of September 6th. We didn't go back and vote on those. You said we'll go back to it, but
All
we
right,
can,
all right.
do that
You
before.
got me. So let's, okay, so let's go back to that item. G1A, thank you.
Sorry, Brian.
Thank you, Alfredo. So let's do that.
And thank you
So
for
is there
correcting
any
me.
discussion regarding that item?
I just said, thank you for correcting me, Alfredo. I was on the wrong one.
Oh, no,
You
no
know, we go
worries.
back
Like,
so far, it's been almost a year.
I was like, I made up all those minutes, man.
I know, right? Not to
Please
approve them.
upload
Sorry,
them.
Alfredo, that's true. That's rude. How disrespectful of us.
Right?
Okay, so any comment on those?
I only have one. If you could please upload those to the website or have Aaron upload them, please, Mr. Secretary.
Yeah, I'll send, actually, I was just communicating with Aaron. I'm gonna send him those, and there's quite a few that are still missing from previous months, so
Yep.
he will get those. Actually, I was doing that while you guys were going over some of these items. So, all right, so let's then take a vote on that. Anyone opposed to the September 6, 2022 meeting minutes? State your name. Any abstentions? State your name. Okay, I hear none. I heard none. So
One ineligible.
this passes. Yes. Okay. Good.
How many yeses in that situation?
That would be
11.
11, right? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. So 11. There's 12 of us present. 11.
Okay.
Who's ineligible?
That-
Mr. Crowe.
Mr. Croy.
Well, actually, for this is not funding, so
Oh, he's.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
so he should be okay. So
All
then
right.
make it 12,
Okay.
Alfredo.
12. This is not a funding matter.
Okay.
Is he still with us?
Yes, he is. All right, so let's move on. Brian, thank you for the BAC. I'm signing it now, and I'll have it to you tonight.
Sure.
Thank you.
The faith-based representative report. Ralph?
No, small business, no?
No, Brian said he had nothing.
Oh, nothing.
No, we've already gone beyond that. You're on faith base.
Unmute yourself, Ralph.
Okay, somebody muted me. I did not do it. Anyway, I'm running up, excuse me, running out of cards, business cards, but I don't know if you want to wait till if there's a reelection or not. That's something you have to think about pretty soon, business cards.
Oh, okay, so you want business cards, so you don't have any at the moment?
I got about 4 of them left.
Okay, all right, so that you can distribute to your faith-based contacts. Okay, so we'll work on that. Karen? Or,
No comment.
okay. All right, Ralph, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay. We don't have a student representative. Okay, so then let's move on to board member comment announcements, and I would just go around the room, starting with Nathan.
No announcements for me, but nice job, Oscar and Karen, for running a tight meeting. I know there's a lot on the agenda tonight.
Thank you, Nathan.
Yes, sir.
Jason,
No announcements from me, and good to see everybody again. Thank you.
thank you, sir. Robert,
Sorry, I was having trouble with my mute. I have nothing. Just nice to see everybody.
thank you, sir. Likewise. Thank you. Alvin.
You didn't see him. Camera was off the whole night.
He was darked out. Okay, fine, Alfredo.
Just saying.
Alvin.
I guess my announcement is LeBron James just set an all-time career record and just passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record. I know Lakers haven't had much to celebrate.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, Brian.
The only thing I have to say is if you're interested in the water issue that Sid mentioned earlier, there's going to be a presentation on that at Bank on Thursday. So if you can make Bank, make Bank.
Oh, okay, that's Thursday. Thank you, sir. Alfredo.
I was kind of curious how we've had these robberies in armed robberies here in our district for a few times, and we didn't mention it, and John Lee didn't address any of it or didn't talk about it. But the interesting about it is that they did make a mention about the stolen copper wire. It's kind of interesting, and I don't know if those two things are related. Are we street lighting or what? I don't know, but I would maybe like to hear from him. And just thinking about it right now, I should have said it earlier, that about the robberies that are happening. I mean, we're very concerned about the crime that is happening here in our district.
Thank you, sir. Graham.
That's it.
No comments. Good meeting. Looking forward to seeing everyone next weekend.
Thank you. Oh, is it next weekend? No, already? Oh.
The 18th?
The 8th?
Yes, sir.
No, it's the following weekend.
No, that's next weekend.
The 18th?
The 18th is next weekend.
Yeah.
This
No.
weekend is
Oh, yes, the next
Valentine's
weekend.
Day.
You're right. Not this
Yeah.
weekend. Yes,
Next-
correct. Next weekend.
Saturday.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking. Anyway,
We're just
okay,
off
I'm
today.
Sid,
We're just,
No comments. Good meeting. Thank you.
thank you, sir. Raheem. Raheem, unmute yourself. Okay, Ralph.
No comments.
Thank you, sir. Karen.
looking forward to seeing everyone on the 18th, and the next meeting we have will be in person. Everyone have a good night.
Start getting ready for that. Raheem.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay. On the gas issue, the gas bill, gas company is offering for those who are interested something called flex payment plan. And what that does is it takes the company takes an average of your last 12 months bill and then average it out, and you pay not your current bill, but the average of those 12 months for next 12 months. So for example, if my bill is $300 this month, I will not pay $300. I will pay $100 because that is my total consumption for the year last year divided by 12.
Interesting.
If we have to ask for it, it's not automatic. We have to ask for, and it's called flex payment plan.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Have to look into it. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see. And I think then it's just me, and I have nothing really other than great meeting. And I know, Nathan, I agree with you with all the stuff that we had on here. We did good time. So Alfredo, no comment from you. So
did
with
well.
that, Mirka, thank you so much for staying on this call with us. I know it's long and you've got long days every day. So we thank you and we thank your commitment to our GHNNC. So, all right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Good
Good
night.
night,
Thank you.
everyone.
All right, good night. Thank you.
Yeah, Mirka, remind John and Josh to get back to me.
Yes, it's on my notes.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good
Thank
night,
you,
everyone.
Oscar.